Hey everyone, I'm Travis Wright, and you're listening to I'm a Fan Of, your show for music, comedy, and more. As always, if you were a musician, a comedian, or just someone that does something interesting, you can reach out to me on Instagram at TravisCanListen. You can find me on Facebook at I'm a Fan Of, or you can reach out to me through the website at I'mAFanOfPod.com. Sorry if you're watching on YouTube, the place that I normally film everything, and they had some flood damage from all the rain we recently got here in Dallas. So we did film the interview with Mikey B before that happened, but normally I go back, do a voiceover, and record the video for that. However, I wasn't able to, so the front part of this episode is just going to be audio, but don't worry, there is video for the interview portion. But as usual, before we get to the interview, we've got to feature some new music. Today's featured band is the Buttshakers. They are a rhythm and blues soul band led by Ciara Thompson. And as the name suggests, they are going to make you move. The rhythm section of this band will immediately make you move your body, even if it's just a wiggle in your seat while you're driving your car home today, or just tapping on your desk and bobbing your head if you're listening to this at work. I'm going to feature music from their most recent album titled Acardia, but they have a few other albums and EPs. So as usual, please go check out the full catalog of music. Don't just listen to what I play. Go dive deep. It's all great. Let's stop talking about it. Let's go ahead and play some music. The first song I want to feature is called Hear Me. Go ahead and take it.
Like a bad dream, your love is getting me now, and I can't help it. Oh no, tried to tell me, but I couldn't speak. No, I couldn't hear the sound. Can you hear the sound? Hear me. Like a bad dream, your love was so unreal. We're going faster and faster around the bend. This spells disaster when we come crashing to the end. Can you hear the sound? Can you hear the sound? Hear me, hear me, hear me. Oh baby, hear me, hear me. Talking to you right now, 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 talking to you right now. Come on, baby, talking to you right now. Tell me are you listening? Talking to you right now, talking to you right now, talking to you right now. But you're talking and you're talking and you're talking and you're talking, talking and you're talking all night long.
That was Hear Me by the Buttshakers, and that was the first song I had ever heard from this band. And immediately from the drum and bass groove and just that little subtle chirp of the guitar, I was sucked in, And then as soon as you hear Ciara's vocals come in and they're recorded in that cool vintage rock vibe, and obviously she's just an incredibly talented singer as well, I was hooked. And then, once the song progressed, it gave me that little extra cherry on top with just that badass horn section, and I'm just a sucker for a horn section in general. Theirs is phenomenal. You combine all those ingredients together, and I just knew I had to share them with y'all. They are phenomenal. This next song I want to play is a little longer, but I feel like it blends the two characteristics about this band that make me like them so much. It kind of took me a minute to put my finger on it, but once I did, I realized, that on one hand, they're a jam band. that can lay down a groove and it just keeps you moving the entire time you're listening. But on the other hand, every song is telling, or discussing a situation that is, maybe serious or earnest. And, I think it's just that blend. I'm not going to feature a song on this episode, but there is one called from the same album called Back in America. It's another fantastic example of what I'm talking about, mixing a serious subject with a groove that helps you maybe comprehend it more easily than just someone, getting up on a soapbox and giving a speech. The song I want to focus on next, however, it does the exact same thing by telling a story, maybe with Ciara's issues with her father, while also laying down a musical track that could just live and die on any dance floor. So enjoy the story at the beginning of this song, and then allow yourself to get lost in the jam session that just kind of forms at the end of this song. It's absolutely fantastic. This next one is called Daddy Issues. Enjoy.
My daddy was a player, couldn't leave it alone. Wouldn't follow the rules, no, he lived just for himself. And there was never laughter, 'cause you was never there. You was always gone with some hazy eyes and a bad door.
That was Daddy Issues by the Buttshakers, and all of the music played on today's episode is from their 2021 album, Acardia. I'll play more from them on the way out, but now it's time to move on to our interview guest, stand-up comic Mikey B. He is a hilarious stand-up comic from North Texas, and I already wanted to have him on this show simply just for his comedic merit. He is absolutely hilarious. However, unfortunately, he also recently suffered a massive heart attack that resulted in him having open heart surgery. So that just made me want to talk to him even more about this roller coaster ride he's been on, because since then he's been recovering and, working on both his physical health and also working on weaving some of that tragedy from this heart attack and this surgery into his comedy act. Let's stop talking about it. Let's just go ahead and get into the interview. Enjoy. Well, Mikey B, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Hilarious stand-up comic, podcaster extraordinaire with the Open Mic podcast. Anything I'm missing?
No, actor. I've been on Queen of the South.
I was going to ask you. I heard that in your
things.
credits because I just went to your show at Hyenas, and I heard the Queen of the South credit. And was it the newer version?
Yeah, it's
that
the
they filmed
newer
in
one.
Dallas.
Yeah, that they filmed here.
What did you? Because we watched that whole series, and I feel like I would have seen you.
I think season 2, episode 3. Mm-hmm. I think there's a few episodes that season. I'm like henchman number 4, henchman number 3.
Okay, whose crew were you part of? Which part of
her name? Carmela, the Spanish lady.
Yeah,
the lady.
The older woman who's like the badass at the beginning that's holding Teresita down.
Yes, the one who leaves homeboy in Mexico. Camilla.
Yeah.
She's a super nice lady. And then also I'm a henchman at a brothel. I'm like the guy at the front.
Yeah.
And I remember that day we were filming, I got high with one of the assistant producers, and they gave me a gun. He's like, put it in your pants, like a gangster. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, you're not going to see it. And he goes, what do you mean? I was like, I'm fat. I was like, you got a shoulder strap? And he goes, oh, it's a good idea. So they gave me I had a gun right here, and I'm just mean mugging this guy.
So you're like in a good view of the camera then. Like
it focuses right on me, and then them coming by, and then I'm in the background, and I'm blurred out a few scenes. I'm there. Mm-hmm. There's another episode where we're setting up a cocaine lab. And I'm just one of the henchmen carrying tables, and then
dude, I've got to rewatch this because we were heavy into that.
I didn't know about the show, and when I saw, I'm going to be on a USA show, whatever. Yeah. Either way, I'm just an extra. But after watching it to see what I'm getting into, I was like, I kind of fuck with the show.
That's really cool, man. How did you get set up with? That's a big show now.
Yeah.
How did you get set up with even that extra work? Because Dallas doesn't have the infrastructure that LA or something does.
The internet, basically. Yeah. My ex had done some filming things for TV stuff, and she's like, hey, sign up to this website. They do acting gigs. And immediately, the next day, they were like, hey, do you want to, I sent my headshots in. They're like, hey, do you want to do this one? It pays basically minimum wage, but I was like, hell yeah, I'll do it. The second one was funnier because they had me set up the cocaine lab, and they had me walk right by the camera. But while we're doing that, I'm carrying these tables with guys wearing leather jackets. We're sweating our ass off. The boss is eating a taco, and he's pointing. And I kept looking at the taco when I'd go by the camera. And the director's like, stop looking at the taco between cuts. I was like, bro, you want realistic? You got us in Dallas wearing leather. And if I don't look at that taco, people at home are going to be like, why isn't the fat guy looking at the taco? What's going on here?
One of my favorite scenes in that series, just because when you're in Dallas, is when they're in this high-speed car chase through downtown, and they're like, the airport's right around the corner. We just, they're cutting through all this, and we all know no, the airport's pretty far away from there.
No. If your car can move, you're not near the airport.
No, not at all. So you were carrying a gun on set. Now I have to ask questions because the whole Alec Baldwin thing about loaded guns on set. So are you carrying a real gun that doesn't have bullets, or is it a fake gun?
Okay, so the first gun I had, I'm pretty sure was a 9mm Glock, but it didn't have any bullets. Mm-hmm. And they told me the firing pin wasn't in there, but I clicked it a few times. It sounded like it was in there, but I checked. I know how to shoot guns, not a lot, but I know the basics. But the other gun that I carried, they usually have me have a Glock on me, shoulder strap, but they gave me an AK, a real one.
Holy shit.
But they did take the firing pin out of that, and those things are fucking heavy.
Yeah.
I was already sweating in a warehouse because we're summer, and Makeup Girl got mad because I ruined a bunch of her sponges, and I'm just profusely, and I'm carrying around an AK they gave it to me while I waited to film, so I'm carrying this thing for 6 hours, and that was a job, dude. It was heavy.
Yeah, and you said you're comfortable with guns. I grew up. I remember hearing in your stand-up that you grew up in a small town. I grew up in a small town, so it's you grow up around guns. Guns don't weird you out.
No, not at all.
And It's still weird though to hold a gun around a bunch of people, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even if you know it's not loaded, you're like, this goes against everything you're taught.
Deep breath. You're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It's empty and you're still looking at people. You're like, are you looking at me fucking
What are
crazy
you
right
looking
now?
at?
Yeah.
What's the problem? That's my piece of pizza.
Oh,
bitch.
that's so cool.
But see, guns don't weird me out. It's the people holding them. That's what
Yeah.
weird. I've been around people that pull out a gun and I'm like, have a good night.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
done. Goodbye.
You know what weirds me out are open carry people, right? I don't care that you have a gun. I really don't even care that you open carry, but I feel like, why do you want to open carry? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so there's been times where I've been in like a quick trip and it's not even, let's say you're just an average person and you carry a gun on your hip. That still doesn't weird me out. But you know those guys who wear like the tactical gear so they look like a cop,
Yeah.
but they're not a cop, and it like you got to look at them for a second and you're like, yeah, there's no logos or anything. You just have the pants and all this stuff on.
Yeah, you just have the crazy psyche.
Yeah. So I was behind one of those guys in Quick Trip, and that's when I feel like a psycho because it makes me just want to pull the gun out of his holster and like put it on his back and go, it would be that quick, buddy.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
that quick. This is so
Yeah.
stupid that you carry this.
You could buy the pants, but you didn't do the training, pal.
Yeah, yeah. It's like all like what? Why would you want this out in the open like that?
Dude,
you know?
I literally, so when it first, two quick things. When it first happened, I remember I lived right by a Valero. And anytime I go into a Valero, I assume everybody's got a gun. It's fucking Valero. It's the Wild West. It sounds like it. But I remember this guy walked in full on AR-15 and a handgun strapped to his side. This guy's in like America shorts, you know, like the,
Yeah.
like looks like a flag, but they're
Yeah.
swim shorts. And he's in a tank top and he's walking around fully loaded. I'm like, bro, you're
So
just getting
strange.
cigarettes.
Yeah.
Bro, like you don't have to like go into the wilds of Africa and get a blood diamond
Yeah.
right now. Like chill
Yeah.
out, bro. Like
so
just the
crazy.
handgun, fine. But he's like, I feel like people like that, they want something. They want something to pop off. They want to
Yeah.
use that gun. And it's like,
Well,
bro,
he's either looking to like save the day, which isn't going to happen, right? Or he's looking for somebody to be like, why the fuck do you have that? Like he wants the confrontation of
Yeah.
like, this is my freedom.
they
It's
want
like-
to
yeah.
brandish that thing. That's
Dude,
what they want
I'm
to do.
telling you.
I skipped this story when you saw me last week because I've been alternating closers, but I have this one about during COVID, I went down to Galveston.
Mm-hmm.
I just needed to take like a spiritual thing, whatever. I took a bunch of acid with me and I went to Galveston and I'm on the beach one day and I took a bunch of acid and I'm peeking in this trip and there's a cop on a 4-wheeler and I go over, I decide in the middle of this acid trip to go talk to him. I don't remember what we talked about, but I do remember I kept looking at his gun on his hip and he's sitting on a 4-wheeler and I keep looking at him and then I see him see me see his gun and like I had to walk away mid-sentence because all I could think is like I could have a 4-wheeler and my own beach right now. Like I could get to that before and I was like just get out of here, just walk away.
Yeah. Guns are weird like that, right? Because when you just talk about them and they're not around you, it doesn't feel like they're as powerful as they are.
Yeah.
But when you are around one, you're like, this is power. This
It's
is
like you
100%
can,
power.
it's like an electricity in the air. You can
Yeah.
feel like somebody's life could change right now. All of our lives can
Yeah.
change right now.
Yeah, and we can just get it anytime we want it.
Yeah.
You know, it's wild. Dude, speaking, you've already mentioned drugs a couple times now. And we're going to talk about your heart attack stuff, obviously, because that's
Sure.
I'm fascinated by this. But
So am I.
so you're still, for people who don't know, recently had a heart attack.
The day before Mother's Day, and they think I had one a couple weeks before.
Yeah.
I was in DC and I did like 7 shows in 3 days. Love DC. It was my first time there. It was great. And I remember feeling the same way after I had the one they know that definitely was a heart attack
Mm-hmm.
in my hotel room. And both times I thought it was allergies because I've lived a life full of pain and I'm stupid. So
But you're still doing drugs after the fact?
no, I smoke weed.
Okay.
But yeah,
okay.
no, I'm not doing coke or any of that anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, even before the heart attack, I was off coke for a while.
What's a while?
I mean, at least like 5 months, 6 months, something
Okay,
like that.
okay.
And I mean, before that, it's not like I was doing coke every day and I was a big coke head. It was like a couple times a month. I get like a couple grams, 8-ball or something, and
Yeah.
lie to my friends about where I am for a few days.
Well, I asked because I have become a hypochondriac with chest pain.
Yeah.
Right? I have I
Me
realize
too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you have a reason now.
Yeah.
I just have anxiety and then I have like acid reflux, right? So over the
Been
last
there before.
over the last couple of years though, I would just get chest pain and I would then my anxiety would say like you're having a heart attack. It's going down, right?
Yeah.
And then that would make the reflux worse and all this. So I've been to the ER a couple times where I'm like, give me EKG, run the labs, all that shit.
Yeah.
And they're like, everything's fine.
They're like, sir, just burp it out.
Yeah, yeah.
Here, have a Tums.
And then I see a Facebook post from you where you're like, had a heart attack. And it's like, I'm 37, you're what, 39?
39.
Yeah, so it's like, we're not that far apart in age. So then it makes me think like, see, he had one, I could have one instantly. But then when I watched your set and you talked about doing all these drugs and everything, I was like, okay, maybe he had more of a reason to have one. But
Well, they said, so I found out the main reason for my problems was it's genetic. I didn't know it ran in my family until I was in the ICU. I'm sitting there with my sister and my mom. And my mom goes, yeah, your grandpa died of this, because he died before I was born. I never met him. Mm-hmm. And she's like, yeah, your uncle died of this. Your grandpa had like 9 heart attacks. And I was like, the fuck, you didn't tell me that 39 years ago, Nancy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could have used this information.
Yeah.
On top of that, uncontrolled diabetes. I didn't know I was diabetic till 4 days before I had the heart attack. Mm-hmm. And when I found out, I was like controlling it and everything. And smoking. I smoked cigarettes over a pack a day for like 23 years.
No way.
So, I mean, yeah, it's bad for you. Plus cocaine, drugs.
A pack of cigarettes a day, though, huh?
Yeah.
That's wild. When did you start smoking?
I would smoke off and on when I was like teenager, like 14, 15, 16. But like fully pack a day, I was like 17, 18, somewhere in there.
So a long time then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I had 22, 23 years. I mean, I remember like being 12 and stealing cigarettes from my dad and me and my friends, like smoking them like we're cool and throwing up because it hurt our tummies.
When you were smoking a pack a day, did you feel like, fuck, I'm smoking a pack a day?
Oh, I'd argue with myself every single cigarette I would light up.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop doing this. You're killing yourself. You're stupid. And I'm still like, yeah, it's weird. I'm just arguing with myself in here. Mm-hmm. And it's tough, man. It's the toughest thing to quit. I mean, they say it's more addicting than heroin. And in the hospital, I'd been there for about 4 days before the surgery because they plan it, they make sure you're stable enough to survive it and all that shit. Mm-hmm. So I'm there for like 4 days. And I'm sitting in my room, and they're not really giving me pain meds yet. I felt great after they electrocuted me back to life. Mm-hmm. I caught my breath, and I felt wonderful. And I'm like, one of the days, I start like shaking, and I'm sweating uncontrollably, and I'm feeling sick, and like I'm like something's really wrong again. And I tell the nurse like, hey, this doesn't feel like the other day. I feel like there's something else. And she goes, yeah, it's withdrawals, idiot. Mm. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, you smoke cigarettes, right? Pack a day? I was like, yeah. She goes, this is the withdrawals. She's like, it's like kicking heroin, coke, any of that. She's like, your body is demanding that, but we're not going to let you go to your car. So just get over it.
They can't just like pump in some nicotine or something.
Oh, they offered it. They offered me nicotine gum or patches or whatever. They're like, we have them. We can give them to you. And I was like, I just want to get nicotine out of my body, though. I feel like it's better just to.
How long do nicotine withdrawals last? Days, weeks?
For me, it was, it's the day before my surgery is when it was really bad. Mm-hmm. But then after that, I had open heart surgery. Like they full on, I'll show you my chest, dude.
Yeah.
They cut me down the middle. So, I mean, I'm on morphine and fentanyl after that. Every 2 hours of rotating it. And I don't know if I was in withdrawal still because I was not
had
like
all the other good drugs in.
You can't, they have these 3 lines out here. They have these tubes in you so you can't breathe that good. So they made me get up and walk the day of the surgery, like that night. And like the first 3 days while I have those tubes in, you can't breathe. I get up to walk and I literally make it to the door of my room and I've got a walker and a therapist helping me walk. And I'm like, I'm like dying. I'm like, I almost had pneumonia. I had to like fight that off while healing. And luckily I made
Which is like
that.
That's like a loop, right? Because you don't want to get up and move, but you got to get up and move to get rid of the pneumonia. But the pneumonia makes you not want to get up and move.
Once they take these tubes out that night, I felt a little better. The next day and that morning, I got up and walked, and I was after that, like after a day after they took the tubes out, I would go on 3 walks a day in the hospital, like around the whole ICU and cardiac unit and all that. And they were like, wow, they're like, this is good. And I started breathing better. I started being able. It was the tubes because one of them goes up under your lungs and like puts pressure on your lungs, and it's not fully inflated back from the surgery. Yeah, it was a little bit of a fight, but
So we skipped over a couple things there too, which was you said that they had to shock you. So when you felt like you needed to go to the hospital, did you just drive yourself up there? Did you get an ambulance? And then when you were there, did you like crash and that's why they had to shock you? Or
okay, so when it happened, the last heart attack, I was sitting on my couch the night before Mother's Day, like 7 p.m., not drinking, nothing, just sitting there chilling with my puppy. And all of a sudden it hits me like this. And it wasn't like you see in TVs or a movie. I didn't like clutch my chest like, oh, I have a heart attack. I'm coming to see you, like Red Fox. I couldn't catch my breath. I didn't really notice my arm going numb, really. And my heart, I could feel it beating so fast that I felt like a cartoon. Like if I looked down, I felt like I would see it like bouncing out of my chest. And I tried that was Saturday night. So I took like some Zyrtec. I thought it was allergies because I had just went to the hospital a week before, and they're like, "Oh, your allergies are just really bad." And I took some sleepy time tea. I tried to sleep. I tossed and turned all night. The next day I got up and took a shower. I still couldn't breathe. And I was like, I was supposed to go to the doctor a couple of days after that, and I was trying to wait till then.
Just like your regular, like a primary care doctor,
like a
like a
checkup
cardiologist?
from what I just went through.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Like for the allergies and other shit that they said I had wrong with me. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to the ER. And I went. I smoked a joint and a cigarette on the way to the hospital. And I get there and I'm super high. And the ladies, I tell them like, oh, I'm having, my chest pain was over here.
Were you
by the
thinking
way.
like, I'm freaking out, so I want these two things to calm me down? Or what was the reason you...
That's just every day, baby.
Just every day?
That's
Okay, okay, fair enough.
I was like, if I'm being in the hospital for a few hours, I want to be high.
I'm just trying to get in your mindset,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I don't know. It's just the shit that I normally do.
Yeah.
So, but I was like, yeah, I have chest pains like over here and I can't catch my breath. And I went to sit down and she's like, no, come here. And they took me straight in the back and there's like a team of people surrounding me. Like they knew what it was. But like I said, my chest pain was nowhere near my heart. It was way on the other side of my chest.
Yeah, because usually people go like, oh, my left side, my left side.
Yeah, it was way on the right. And they did some tests and they're like, your heart rate's really fast. It was almost 200. And then they were like, it looked like it's been there. It looks like it's been there for about 24 hours. When did you start this? And I told them, they're like, yeah, it's about 20 hours. They're like, that's the equivalent if you were running a full-on sprint for the last 20 hours.
Yeah.
They're like, that's definitely done some damage. They're like, sir, you're about to, A, have another heart attack and die or have brain damage, or have a stroke and at least have brain damage unless we slow your heart down. And they were like, we'll give you two options. We could stop and restart your heart. And my brother had just passed like literally 2 days from something like that happening to him.
Oh, older brother, younger brother?
My older half brother.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't want to do that. And they're like, or we could just shock you. And the way he said shock you, I thought it was like a zzz, you know, no, I didn't know it was a full-on defibrillation, and they didn't defibrillate. I don't know.
Defibrillator. Yeah.
They shocked me.
Yeah. They put the pads on you.
And it's Bluetooth. They don't like it's not like watching George Clooney in ER. They put these pads. They go the other side of the
Old
room.
pads with the telephone wires. Like,
He's twirling it, talking to his boyfriend.
right.
But they bring in these two hot interns to watch. I guess they're like interns. And I'm like, hey, and I'm there with my shirt off and I'm all gross and I'm like sweaty and my heart won't slow down.
Yeah.
And they put me on an IV. That didn't work. So they were like, we're going to shock you. And he puts the things on and he goes, you ready? And before I could say anything, he pushed the button and I felt launched out of my body. I felt like I could see me getting shocked. And I'm like,
I mean, it's full on, like it's the hardest jolt your body can take, right?
Yeah. I've been electrocuted at least 5 times before that, from cars, houses, all kinds of stuff. And this was it was painful from head to toe, but felt like an eternity. It's probably like 5 seconds.
What kind of pain is that? Like, can you describe it towards like anything similar to that pain? Because I've been shocked like a little bit by like I remember I had these Christmas tree lights that had a fray on them, and it zaps you a little, and you're like, "Woo!" You know,
multiply that by 100 and put it everywhere that you exist. It's a lot. It's like what you would imagine grabbing a car battery with both hands, one on each terminal. I don't know. It's everything seizes up. I remember I like.
It's probably making all your muscles tense, right? Because it's full body electricity.
And I can't. My body's confused. It doesn't know what to do. And they like strapped me down to this bed, and that was kind of hot. But I was like, motherfucker, and the guy's like, stop cursing. And I was like, fuck you. And then it stopped, and like instantly, I watched the heart monitor. I was looking at it, and it said, literally coincidentally, before they shocked me, it said 187. And I was like, that's murder. I'm dead. Right? That's a sign. You're a funny guy. But they did it, and like that, it dropped to 107 in one beat, and then it started dropping lower, and I instantly caught my breath. And I felt great until the surgery, until the cigarette with nicotine withdrawals happened. But I was in disbelief I needed anything, because they did more tests. They like to sedate you, but I was fully awake. They didn't sedate me because they wanted to do, they took me to somewhere called the cath lab. Not where they put a catheter in. They did do that during the surgery. That was
it's a catheter, but it's a catheter for your like blood vessels in your heart.
Well, yeah, they had
not like a dick catheter.
Yeah. They did put one of those in while I was under for the surgery.
Yeah.
And when the nurse told me I was going to wake up with a catheter in, I started crying, and she was like, "Oh, honey, don't worry, this is routine. You're not going to die from the surgery." I was like, I'm not worried about dying. Surviving sounds a lot fucking harder. I don't want it. Can't they just put a diaper on me? Like, whatever. She's like, no. And taking the have you ever had a catheter?
No.
Oh, don't do it, dude.
It's not something I would like to do.
No, I don't think it. I mean, if you want to do, you're sick. If that's what you want, you're sick.
Yeah.
And I'm not kink shaming anybody unless you want that. Fuck you. But the lady that takes it out was the hot nurse. Have you heard that joke? The same one that calling me a queer since I woke up. So she's like, I'm in the ICU for a day, and they're like, all right, you're stable. You're going to go to a regular room. She goes, well, we got to take the catheter out because we want you to get up and go to the bathroom after a couple of days. And so I was like, okay. And it's the weirdest feeling because you can't try to pee. It just comes through and you feel it. And you're like, I didn't send that order through. That just came.
I guess that's its whole purpose though, right? Like if you're on a bunch of meds and you can't pee, they don't want like your bladder to pop or something, right?
I guess.
I think that's what it is.
Well, I couldn't pee just because it was in and I could feel it all the way into my, like, I guess my balls or wherever. But it's the weirdest feeling. But she grabs my dick and she goes, you ready? And I was like, no. I was like, let me breathe for a second. Let me get my mind wrapped around this. And she goes, I'll give you a couple minutes. And she comes back and she grabs it again. And she goes, you ready? And I was like, hold on a second. I was like, wait a minute. And while I was talking, she just yanks it out. And I screamed, oh, fuck again. And then I looked at her. I was like, you did the right thing. I was never going to give you that.
You weren't mentally going to be prepared for that.
There's no way I was ever going to say, yeah, pull something out of my dick. Go ahead. But it's the worst.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, let me ask you this then, because you said you went to the hospital and then it took 4 days to take you down to surgery.
Yeah, well, they have to plan. They have to make sure, one, they do, because with the surgery, they have two different ways. And I think the most common way is they have all your organs like lungs and all that run by a machine. And I don't think they can fully inflate your lungs to what you normally breathe. So they want to do all these tests to make sure you could survive a surgery because he said it was going to be about 5 hours.
Okay.
And
what was the actual surgery? Do you remember?
Yeah, they said double bypass is what I needed. When I woke up, they said we gave you a triple bypass.
Okay.
And so I was like, you got a BOGO going on? But yeah, so it was a triple bypass.
5 hours to do a triple bypass.
He did it in 3.5. He's an efficient motherfucker.
There you go.
Yeah, he's an Asian guy, so he's got
dude,
shit
those are
good.
like quick small hands doing nice tidy work.
He's in there. He sewed up a pair of Nikes when he was doing it, dude.
But what I was going to ask you about the 4 days though, like I understand why they wait, but like I'm prone to anxiety. Are you not just freaking out for 4 days going, I'm going to die in the middle of the night?
Surprisingly, like I overanalyze everything in my mind. I thought I would be, but I wasn't. I was just kind of the mind state, like if I die from this or die in surgery, I mean, I can't do anything about it now. It is what it is. I'm not afraid of dying because if I die, that's just it. I mean, what the fuck? I can't do anything about it, It is what it is. Like I said, I told the nurse what I felt. I was like, it sounds a lot harder to survive this than to die in it. And she's like, you're not going to die. Prove that bitch wrong. I died for 3 minutes. Fuck
yeah. You said you died during the surgery?
Clinically, they said I flatlined for about 2.5 minutes. And,
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell your bit. People just need to go watch you. But when you talk about how the doctor broke that news to you, that's fucking hilarious,
dude. When he did it too, and I was like, I'm using this. For
yeah,
sure.
it's great. It's great. And we're not going to talk about it here. Go watch the show.
Yeah.
Because I assume you're still like all that material is brand new, so you're still kind of working that how you want it.
It's getting
right?
a lot better. It's getting tighter. I canceled my whole schedule when everything happened because I thought it'd be like 6-8 months recovery. And then after the surgery and I'm walking around, I'm in the hospital and I'm on fentanyl and morphine. I'm like, fuck, I want to do shows. But I was also high as shit.
Yeah.
But I was back on stage 15 days after the surgery.
Yeah, I remember seeing some of your posts and I was like, fuck, dude's getting back out there going.
Luckily, I forgot to cancel one of the shows and it was at the Improv and it ended up being a good show. So when they messaged me like a week out, they're like, hey, you still good for this? I was like, yeah, it's fine.
What's it like though when you're, you come out of surgery, you're going through this rehab and like, what's it like when you're finally leaving the hospital and they're like, you're going home? I mean, are you feeling amazing after the surgery or are you feeling scared or how?
No, not amazing by any means. Rough.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have, what is this, August? It's been 3 months. 3 months and 3 days.
What's the recovery time on a bypass?
Man,
is it like a year or something?
I'm not sure. I think it's different for everybody. They said since I'm younger, I should have a full recovery. It should be a little faster. But, I mean, it's 3 months out. This is numb still. I still can't feel part of my chest. Still constant pain.
Like just the muscle or like everything?
Just this part of my chest right here. Like specifically this part of my chest. Like I can feel this. I can feel this.
But like if you just poke yourself,
like this,
nothing?
I don't feel nothing right there. I do feel pain right here still.
Well, that would be right where they sewed you up, though, right?
Yeah.
So that's why probably that hurts.
They
still.
said 8 weeks for the bone to heal because they cut your sternum open with a bone saw, and they like fully open you up for that.
Yeah.
And I never looked up the surgery. In fact, I didn't look down at the scar or the tubes. I had for those first 4 days after surgery, I had a blood box. When I'd go walk, I'd have to carry it. Or they put it on my walker.
Box.
Good old blood box with tubes running to. I didn't even look at the tubes while they in me. I didn't look until I got home at any of this. So like 2 weeks
I imagine
later,
freaky the fuck out, right?
well, they take these out. It's one motion. They lay you flat, and it's like pulling a catheter. But the nurse that takes the tubes out, because it's for like the excess bile and any internal, they're like soaker hoses they put up in you. There's 3 of them. The nurse that takes them out isn't the one that puts them in, so she doesn't know how long they are. So she's got to yank hard enough to get it all, or she's gonna have to do it again. And it's weird and it's painful, and they're soaker hoses, so it's like you could feel the air coming. It's the weirdest fucking thing.
Isn't it crazy that on one hand we've advanced so much that they can cut your body open, do a triple bypass, save your life, and it's like he did that in 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, like the best technology we have currently is to shove some hoses up there.
Yeah.
Like it's like this duality of like we have something that's so crazy advanced, but then on this end, no, let's just put like a garden hose up there and drain it out.
3 of them, just to be sure. Just let's
it's
put
so
3.
wild. It's like you come so far, but also could we maybe make this better somehow? But
I say too, like especially from going through this, the first thing you lose when you're in the hospital like that is your dignity.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, I woke up, I had needles and IVs. I mean, I had one going straight into my chest right here. I don't know if it was into my heart or not, but I felt like it was. I still feel the pain from that right here. I think I pulled something out too early from it, but I feel pain. It was right here, and I had one here, I had here. I had like 4 of them, and it's just a weird thing. And I remember the one nurse I didn't like. All the nurses I had were awesome people. Some of them were really hot, but even the ones that were, I mean, they were all just nice people. They were all just super cool with me. My sister told them I was a comic, so they would gather in my room, and I basically had an open mic in the hospital room. I was testing out new material on them. But the one nurse that none of them liked, because they all talk shit about her to me, and we actually turned her in for some shit. But whatever. I ain't no snitch. But one night, the nurse is like trying to force me to pray and all this, and I was like, mind your business, lady. And I was like, hey, it's time for my pain meds. I'm in pain. And she comes in with the fentanyl, and she grabs this IV, and I'm like, hey, I got like all these other, use one of the, everybody's putting them everywhere else. She goes, too late. And she just shot fentanyl straight into my chest. Ooh. And it was amazing. I won't lie, but I was freaking out about that. I was going to say something else.
Yeah, especially as much as like fentanyl's in the news. You're like, should I be getting fentanyl? Right?
I cut it. I keep putting it in and take it back out of my set, but I was talking about, imagine the egg on my face when I've done all this cocaine with fentanyl in it. And now I'm laying in the hospital, and they're giving me fentanyl to get better from it.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like they're curing my AIDS with more AIDS. I'm like, you can't use that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you wake up. I remember I had. I still see the spot here. I had an IV here, and I woke up a few times, and a nurse would already have like 2 vials of blood out of me that they're taking. I'm like, do you work here? What the fuck? Because I wake up and there's someone already taking my blood like a vampire.
Well, I can't imagine how confusing that's got to be too when you're just sitting in an ICU, doped up, and it's like time doesn't really exist anymore in a normal state because you're not getting any kind of true sleep or anything. You're just kind of there, going through the motions.
And they even say like, you're not here to sleep, you're here to get better. And I appreciate everybody that I came across in the hospital, and everything they did, but. It's just a weird shit. Like they wouldn't even let me wear underwear or clothes for like a week. And so when I'd go on walks,
just in case you crash again, they can get in there and do what they need to do.
I guess I don't know. But I was like, this is a control thing, isn't it? But I told one of the jokes I told the nurses, just fucking around with her. I was high. I was like, you guys need to let me put my underwear on. These hospital floors are cold. And she's like, ew, you're gross.
Yeah, I'm sure they're like, of course, we've heard all this.
But they've seen, like the lady that shaved me, she was laughing as she was shaving me, and I was like, I'm going to stop telling you, you're going to nick me somewhere. And it's a lot of weird shit.
Well, how do you feel on the back end of it now, though? Like, do you feel, I guess what I'm asking is, do you feel like I got to tune up, I feel great, like, or do you feel like, ooh, that was close. Like, shit, man.
It's a mix of everything, man. Because I mean, I don't feel great, but I'm getting there. I finished the cardiac rehab, or I went through the sessions that the state was willing to pay for or give me because I don't have insurance. So I'm going to the gym on my own. So I've had this Planet Fitness membership for 2 years, and it took me dying to start going there. That's how bad Planet Fitness is. And I'm going there now, and I'm doing cardio, and I know that like So in 2013 or 2014, I lost 180 pounds, close to that.
Yeah.
And I put like 90 of that back on since. But I was diabetic before, and I got off my medicine and wasn't diabetic because I lost enough weight, so my body went back, and it was fine. But I can't do the workout like I used to. I mean, obviously I'm older too, but I can't. Like I get halfway through the cardio workout that I want to do. And I'm like, I can't go on. I got to stop.
Like,
I can't
but
physically.
because of the surgery, like you're still recouping from it?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Because I mean, I'm still.
What do they say?
rehabbing my
Do they
heart.
say like, have at it, go work out as much as you want? Or?
No, they said, the first 8 weeks I couldn't use my arms or sleep in a bed. I couldn't like push up to get up off of it, like sitting down. I couldn't use them to brace myself. I couldn't lift anything. They said specifically nothing heavier than a milk jug. And even that might be too much because
they don't want you popping that.
They don't. They're like, if you hear a pop, go to the hospital immediately. Also, I have to carry around these little pills. If I start having a heart attack, I can put them under my tongue. I can put 1 or 2 under there. I can't put more than 3, but I have to like call 911.
What are those pills?
The nitroglycerin.
Oh wow!
Or nitro,
yeah.
or whatever. I don't know. I've never taken them.
All I know about those is Carroll Shelby, the guy who made like Shelby Mustangs and stuff. He had some kind of heart condition, and he would pop those. Like that was, this is before the stuff you had access to.
Yeah.
So I guess he would just take like 1 a day or something.
Every time he had a chest pain, he's like, nope, take another
yeah, you just
one.
pop a pill,
Yeah.
and that's what kept him going, I guess.
I do take a lot of medicine. I mean, right now I have like an old people medicine pill thing.
Like the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
It's AM and PM too.
Oh,
It's
wow.
Monday AM, Monday PM, and like in the morning, like I have to when I put the pills in, I have to like stuff them and close it. There's about 14 pills I take every morning,
Jesus.
and like 4 more at night, plus asthma medicine, all this other stuff.
For how long are you going to be taking that quantity?
So I'll get healthier.
Yeah.
I don't know. I go back to the doctor tomorrow, and obviously I'm on blood pressure medicine. I'm on like baby aspirin for thinning my blood and all this stuff. So they're like, you will get off most of this probably if you keep on the path you're on. They're saying everything is looking good. I'm down like 35 pounds. I keep bouncing from 40 to 35.
Yeah.
I'm kind of stuck here right now.
We know how it is though. Like
But-
you plateau, and then you just got to like hang in there for a while, and then you'll start dropping it again.
Yeah.
But that plateau is brutal because you're like,
yeah.
I'm doing all this shit. I just want to lose weight, but it doesn't. It's like no matter who you are, it's like whatever that point is when you hit it, you almost get stuck there for like 5-6 weeks sometimes.
It's very annoying, and I think once I get my heart rehabbed more and built up, I'll be able to do more of a workout, which will make a difference on doing it. Because before when I lost all the weight, 20 minutes of cardio, if you're getting your heart rate in the fat burning zone, which is a real thing, Google it. The 20 minutes a day, 3 times a week, and you'll lose weight that way as long as you're actually keeping your heart in that fat burning zone. It's like optimal where it should be, and I can do like 12 to 15 minutes maybe if I push myself, and I feel like I'm gonna die when I do. I do like about 12 minutes, and I'm like, all right, I gotta do the bike or something else.
Yeah.
I'm lifting small weights, just trying to get some of my arm strength back. I went too hard on that. I was having some pains from that last week, but
Well, that's got to freak you out a little bit too, right? Because it's like, are my arms sore from working out, or am I having a heart attack?
yeah, it's, everything is I'm having a heart
Yeah.
attack. Oh, I coughed real hard.
Well, I've never even had a heart attack, and I know, right? But that was the first thing I thought of when you were in your act. You were talking about like the stereotypical ways people say they're having a heart attack, and you didn't feel that, and you were like, those fucking pussies. Like,
yeah.
And I'm that person. Like I was like, oh God, I'm having chest pain, I'm having arm pain. I'm like, ER, we're going now, and I would never have anything. And so I can only imagine if I did have a heart attack, I'd be. And it's just the difference between you and I, but I would just be in my head about it so much. I would be like, holy shit, another one's around the corner right now.
Yeah.
You know?
And the thing for
Even
me,
though it's not.
when it was happening, I was like after it happened, and I knew, I just told myself I was at the hospital, and they told me I had a heart attack. They were like, "How'd you get here?" And I was like, "I drove myself like the rest of the Americans." What do you mean? That's how I get around.
Yeah.
And they were like, "You've had massive." First they said you've had a heart attack. I was like, "Oh, like a minor heart attack?" They're like, "No, you've had major cardiac arrest. Like you're gonna die." And I was like, in my head, it was weirdly, even though I overanalyze things, and I make up situations that don't even happen because I'm nuts, I was like, there's no point in freaking out. You're already here. That's going to make things worse. Just relax. This is the best situation I can get to right now without being a millionaire or anything. I'm in a hospital. These people know what they're doing. This is what they do. Just let's see if they can do their magic. And if I die, then, I mean, fuck, I died.
Do you normally react that way if you're in stressful situations?
No, I'm angry.
Do you think it was just because it was like you knew it was so bad at that point?
Yeah.
Like, You just hit a calm, I guess.
I had a weird calm, and I was like, I'm just going to let these people do what they do. I mean, me freaking out isn't going to help the situation. And mentally, I started to freak out a little, and I pulled myself down. I'm like, just relax. It didn't really hit me the severity until I was a little freaked out because they put me on an IV drip or an IV for like 45 minutes before they shocked me. Mm-hmm. And I was freaking out a little bit, but they also gave me something for pain. So it kind of calmed me down. But the severity of things didn't really hit me until they electrocuted me. And then I go to the cath lab, and they go in with that needle with a camera on it. And they put the dye in your body and do all this shit. And then I was pretty freaked out.
Were you awake while that was going on?
Yeah, fully. They sedated me a little bit for that. But that's why they didn't sedate me for the defibrillation because they wanted to sedate me for the other thing. They're like, we can't give you that much medicine without knowing everything about your condition right now.
Well, that's got to be a weird feeling where you're sitting there and these people are just working on you in the cath lab.
I felt like a robot,
just
dude.
Talking shop, like, give me this, give me that, do this, do that.
It was another. I did the joke about the nurse that shaved me, but it was a large Turkish man. And I cut this from the act because the other part was way better. But he is a large Turkish man and two hot Spanish nurses. I remember that. And the Turkish man, they have to shave you to do the cath thing, and they shave your wrist because they try to go in here, but if they're not able to do it here as a backup, they go into your hip. So they shave half your pubes and your inner thigh.
Yeah.
And they have the large Turkish man do it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I love it. I'm not homophobic, but
no, it's just awkward. Like, if my wife offered to shave half of me, that would still be weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I love her, and it would still be like, babe, don't do that. I'll take care of that.
Please stop. Yeah, it tickles because I've never known a Turkish man to not have shag carpet for arms. And we're joking around and stuff. I'm like, bro, what time you get off? I'm getting excited over here. And we're like joking around, but also it's weird, and you're in a lot of vulnerable situations, and that's like when I was freaking out too. So I'm just as a backup trying to joke with the guy to take my mind off of freaking out about it.
Well, for sure. And as a comic, that's got to be an instant coping mechanism is let's just tell a stupid joke, right?
Yeah.
Like just try to, take any kind of stress off this situation.
And that's where I think I've lived a life full of pain, even if it was mentally, physically, whatever. I think that's where I developed my sense of humor is from that. I was picked on a lot as a kid. I was the youngest. I had 3 brothers and 2 sisters. And then on top of that, my dad has 18 brothers, 2 sisters.
Yeah,
I got
dude,
cousins
Jesus.
on cousins on cousins on cousins.
When you said that in your set, when you said that your dad had 20 siblings total, right? I mean, I think I had an audible out loud, like, fuck, and I try to never shout things at shows, but I couldn't hold that in.
That's
20
It's a
aunts and
lot.
uncles.
It's a lot, dude. And I've tried to break it down more, and I did the time on 9 months times 20 or whatever. It's like 180 months. That's like, was it 7, 8, 9? I mean, that's like, I think it's like 15 years of being pregnant in your life.
Jesus.
I can't remember. I did the math, and I like to mess around with that joke a lot. And I like doing that joke because the audience pulls away, and then I pull them back.
Yeah.
It's that push and pull. That's fun for me, and they think I'm gonna get political about the thing, and I don't. But yeah, that's a lot. I mean, it's
amazing your body can give birth. Was that with the same woman or a couple different women?
Yeah, no, same dad, same mom,
woman?
no
Jeez.
TV.
It's incredible, though, that your body can have 20 pregnancies. And I'm guessing those are the 20 that took. She probably had some miscarriages.
I think it was 20 total, and then my dad ended up having like 16 brothers and 2 or something. I think they lost a couple. I think one of my uncles, when he was younger, died. He drowned in the bathtub. So that was probably one of the dumb ones. So.
Yeah. But 20 full-term pregnancies. It's like, how does your body do that?
It's
Doesn't
weird.
it just fucking wear out, you know?
Dude, I would say, because when I was a kid, I would go to my grandma's, and she lived with my aunt. My grandma was always either back in the room on like a hospital bed or her bed. And she always say the same thing. She's a Mexican lady. She always be like, ven pa acá, mijo, dame un beso, ahí está tamales la cocina. And she's like, give me a kiss, there's tamales in the kitchen. It's like, give me a kiss, go eat tamales, get the fuck out of here.
This is what I do. I'm just pregnant.
If she got up and walked around, she always wore like a muumuu. I mean, she's tired. I mean, she earned it, but I never saw her feet move. It was like she was just she was already
floating.
a ghost. She was just floating around the house.
Jeez. I mean, it wrecks a woman's body so much. I would think that she couldn't even, she probably just peed on herself all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Because nothing would work anymore down there, I would imagine.
I don't want to. I'm glad I don't know.
Yeah,
I had to help my dad pee when he was in the hospital, and that was enough. I had to scoop his twigs and berries up in one of those things, and I don't even like my dad.
Yeah.
Mainly because of that.
You said like you were getting picked on a lot by mostly family, or was it just everybody?
Everybody, really. When I was younger, I remember my dad.
What age do you remember being picked on the earliest?
The earliest?
Yeah, like how old do you think you were when you thought like, oh, I'm being teased or whatever?
As far back as I can remember.
So like elementary school, or
like even before, like 3, 4. I mean, long time.
What would people tease you about?
I mean, I'm the youngest, and everybody in my family is dicks. Everything. Okay, so one thing, like kids on the bus or school would make fun of me. My dad used to make me get a flat top, like a buzz cut, like a military flat top.
I love you so much because I had a flat top, but it was by choice.
By choice, dude. This was
I don't
not
remember
choice.
when it happened. I'll find some pictures of when I was younger and send them to you because it's like the square, like military gray
It's
flat
almost
top.
like in the middle. It's almost bald in the spot.
Yeah,
it's so
yeah.
My dad would make me get that like I was a fucking military kid, and he'd never been in the military. I'm not going to the military.
Yeah.
And I remember like girls on the bus would call me squarehead and shit, which I mean that shouldn't bother me. It doesn't make any sense. But
yeah.
I remember I saved my lunch money for a week, and I went to the barber and I had him shave it all off. Just
buzz it.
And my dad beat the shit out of me, and I was like, I'll take a beating and not look like an idiot. Fuck it.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, that all kinds of stuff. I mean, just everything really. Everybody would fuck with me, but especially when you're smaller than everybody, because I was actually born 2 months early. I was smaller as a child. I was like skinny, dark skin, brown eyes. I looked like a little Mexican, and they dressed me up like one. And just people just pick on me all. I was a little pussy as a kid. I won't lie. I think getting into sports and stuff later, like football, and I always played baseball. I feel like that helped me gain some self-esteem, you know. But I mean, I would get fucked with all the time.
Yeah.
I remember one time, I was talking to a friend about this the other day. I just remember one time in middle school, there was my friend's sister that lived like a block over, and her hot friend. I remember this girl's name was like Emily or something. I had a crush on Emily. She's tall, redheaded chick. And I remember one day, not Emily, but the other girl just called me Boogerhead for no reason. No, not like I didn't have a booger. Nobody put a booger on me. She just called me Boogerhead. And for 2 years, people called me Boogerhead, and it would make me cry like a bit.
2 years?
I was like, I didn't even eat a booger or do anything.
Yeah.
Like,
and you're how old?
I was like 14 or 13 or something
Jesus,
like that.
that's
But then I got
brutal.
a car when I was like 14, so that went away, so.
But like Boogerhead for 2 years when you're a teenager, preteen, is like that's brutal, man. Because you're already going through puberty and shit, and you have no idea what the fuck's going on. And it's like, that's rough, man. How small was the small town you went to? Like the school I went to, I graduated with I think it was 83 people.
It was more than that. It was Waxahachie. So I mean, it's not. It was like I think back then it was like 16 to 20,000, something like that. And there's more now. They got themselves a Chili's.
Yeah,
so they're
there
moving
you go.
up. Chili's and a bunch of Trump supporters.
Yeah,
so.
we got a Sonic late, like in my high school years. So that's when we were like, oh shit, we're getting big time. And then the town next to us got a Walmart, and we're like, here we go.
That's good. It's setting off, baby.
Oh man.
Yeah, we had a Walmart, and I remember when they put it in the Super Center.
Yeah.
But yeah, they. It was still a small town. I mean, they filmed Dr. Pepper commercials there.
Yeah.
I remember Pauly Shore filmed part of a movie there, and it was the one. I can't remember the name, but it was the one with they robbed a bank or something like that. There was a bank robbery in the movie.
Man, I actually know like my Pauly Shore films too.
What was it?
I loved his movies.
It was
Because at first I was going to say Son-in-Law because there was a bunch of country scenes in there, you know. But
could have been. I don't know. They filmed a few like Walking Tall Part 2. I remember some of my friends got cast in that, and they thought they were big shit, and their whole thing was they were like standing in the background at a bar, like playing pool, and it's like, you didn't say shit. Like, shut up.
Dude, the town near our small town. So there's like Wiley, and then there's Saxe. I can't remember which town it's in, but it's one of those two on Highway 78. There's like a bar, like a dance hall, like a country dance hall out there, and they would film all the Walker, Texas Ranger bar scenes there. Yeah. So it's like you drive by and you see all the film trailers, and you're like, you know, they filmed that out here.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you have nothing to do with it, but you're taking pride in it, you know?
Yeah. It's funny you say that. When I was like 13, we lived in the town, and then we moved out in the country, just like 10, 15 minutes outside of town. Still went to the same school, but my dad bought like 10 acres, and I was always into like dirt bikes and four-wheelers and all that. And there was a property next to ours that used to be owned by the, you remember those TV dinners that was like, they were those shitty enchiladas.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what they call it. They're like
I don't know.
ranchero
I can
or
see
something.
like the blue box they come in, and you pull the tray out.
The guy from that owned that and started it, owned the land next to us, and he like died, and they sold it. And somebody told me that Chuck Norris had bought it, like Walker Ranger, and he'd stay there or whatever. And I'd always ride my bike there, and like the people would come out there and chase me out. And
yeah,
I'd
you're just
always
hoping
be
to
like,
get a glimpse of Walker.
Yeah, I was just trying to get some Walker action. Dude. I was like,
That's
hey,
awesome.
where's Chuck? But yeah, they were like, He doesn't live here. Get out of here.
Yeah. That small town stuff's weird, man. That's why I was asking you about it, because I can see like a small group of people holding on to insults and those types of things as you're growing up, and it's brutal.
Oh, I'll stop by. Like I stopped a few weeks ago. I was down in Austin doing shows. On the way back, I stopped to get gas, and I try to avoid it unless I'm like going to my sister's grave, which is there. I avoid stopping in that town. And people will come up to me, and someone came up and they're like, "Hey, how you been, man? Remember when you spray painted that cop car and all this?" And I'm like, I'm sure I did it, but I'm like, I don't even know who this person is. Like, I don't remember. I feel bad. I'm not like trying to big time anybody. I just doing comedy. All I do is meet people, and like that was what 20 something years ago, 25 years ago, and I'm like, I don't. Who are you?
Well, and it's not. I know what you mean. Like, it's going to sound like I'm talking shit, but you and me are both from small towns, so you're going to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But for people who aren't, they're going to feel like I'm just being an asshole here. But it really is. Like, if you stay out in that small town, your bubble is so small that all those memories are always ingrained in there.
Yeah.
Right? But when you do move away and do other things, like when you are doing comedy and going to all these places, you're not big timing, but it's like, you have more experiences than those people do.
Yeah.
So the other experiences fade back.
Yeah,
so
I just fought a hooker in Florida. What'd you do yesterday?
It's like,
that was a Tuesday.
That moment for them is so much bigger.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like they've probably been telling that story for 10 years. Oh, I knew this guy, Mikey, spray painted this cop car, man. It was wild shit.
And I did all kinds of stupid shit when I was younger. And and like I said, I'm not trying to be an asshole. They can call me that. That's fine. They're stuck in a small town. They can't get to me.
Yeah.
But I feel bad. But at the same time, it's like I'll meet cousins up here in Dallas. I didn't know where my cousin. I'll meet someone out drinking.
Yeah.
I used to talk about that. I met a girl once. I was like, hell yeah, we got a connection. Find out this bitch is my cousin. I was going to sleep with my cousin.
Dude, when my wife and I went to get our marriage license, we went in person. This was pre-COVID, and you're talking to the person who issues the marriage license, and there's questions on there like, are you related or that kind of stuff. And so I was asking him, I was like, how often do you get like a yes on that box? Like someone's like, yeah, we're definitely brother or sister, And she's like, it happens. And then I don't know what it was. Part of the reason I think I started this podcast is people just divulge stuff to me naturally. They just want to tell me stuff. This lady started telling me about how her sister, she met this great guy. They like moved in together. They were hooking up. I mean, for like a couple years. And they found out later on they were cousins after like looking at, pictures of the family and like, how do you know this person?
Yeah.
And then she told us like it destroyed her sister. Like it ruined her entire life after that. That guy went on and got remarried, but
I just lied.
Yeah.
And she's telling the truth.
Oh yeah. But I mean, they, neither of them were very close with the families. So they legitimately had no idea they were cousins. And it's like, fuck, that shit happens. You could just accidentally start dating a cousin.
It's wild, man. And it's funny you say that. People tell me things too. Like you heard me do that joke about the gummy worm lady.
Yeah.
I attract the weirdos after shows. Weirdest.
Hold on. That joke. We're not going to talk about it here. Again, go watch the bit. But at the beginning of that joke, I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? I don't get where he's going. And then when you finally hit it with the punchline, I'm like, oh my God, like almost falling out of my chair because it's like, holy shit.
Dude, I attract the weirdest people after a show. People will come up to me. And like people, if you go to a comedy show, don't say this to the comic afterwards. Like talk to them, buy their merch, whatever. Talk to them. You don't have to buy. At least say hi. Tell them you liked them. Make them feel good. That's what we do it for, is a validation. But people will be like, "Oh, let me tell you the story," and they tell you something stupid, and they're like, "Use that in your little bit," and they do this thing. But the weirdest people, I attract weirdos. People come up and they tell me things, and that was just another encounter. I was just getting off an elevator, and this lady came to my hotel room and was like, "You look like my dead husband." And I was like, tight. Hell yeah. I was like, cool, thanks.
Why do you think people share with me weird stuff like that all the time, right? Why do you think they share it with you? Because I haven't figured it out.
I don't know, dude. I can't either. I mean,
I was at the dog park one day with my dog, and it's me, and then this other girl comes in, and she just starts unloading on me about how she thinks her boyfriend's cheating because of this and that, and like, what should she do? And it's like, I don't know you. And I end up just being like, well, I think you got to confront them. You got to ask them. You got to be honest with yourself. And it's like, I just came to the dog park. What the fuck,
Yeah.
Why do you think they just open up to you?
I feel like I think a lot of people just, so raised in a small town, you're raised with those values, like make eye contact, firm handshake, all that shit they teach you as young men. And so like, I still, this day, I make eye contact with people, and I don't like, I've been in like scary situations, like in Chicago on the subway or the L train. You don't have to make eye contact there, but I can't help it. So I get into situations from that. But I think some people, like they make a connection with you, and they're like, maybe you just have like that trustability. It's not something that you can explain or that can be measured. You just seem like someone that's easy to talk to. And with me, people, when they meet me, they either really like me or they really fucking don't. So I feel like the people that like me, they're like, they want to fuck with me. And it's always been like that. No matter what I do. I remember I was in Walmart once, and I was just like in the business aisle, like where they sell like printer paper and tape and all this shit. And I'm just looking at something, and this Asian lady comes up and she goes, "Excuse me, what's the best kind of tape?" And I'm like, "Sticky. I don't. What do you? What the fuck do you want? I don't work here."
Well, let me tell you.
Yeah, like, look, Mr. Scotch had a brilliant idea with this one. 3M, more like 2M.
Yeah.
But and I was like, I don't work. I was wearing like a pink shirt or something that didn't look like an employee. She's like, "No, but like, what's the best one? Help me pick one." And I'm like, "This lady hitting on me right now? Like, I don't work. What do you want?"
Yeah.
For me, but people just, I don't know. I can't explain it. You know.
I've gotten to where I want to lean into it now. So like if she asked me what's the best tape, I'd probably be like, well, what are you trying to tape down?
Yeah.
Like let's dive in. Let's just see where this goes now.
I judge the situation by like, is this, because I'll do anything for a story. As a comic, I'll do some dumb shit that I know it's not going to be cool or fun just for the story. Maybe I can use it. I had a guy, again, Walmart last week. I was just looking at shirts, and this guy just starts a conversation with me, and he's the weirdest guy. Phone clip on the hip, just weird. Like you could tell his wife was like, I'll get what we need. Just go over there. Like, fuck off for a little bit. Okay, Kyle. And he just starts, and like literally I got a bad vibe from him, and I was like, I don't want anybody to know I'm talking to this guy. And I just kind of like got out of there. But sometimes I'll lean into it. I'm like, well, what are we trying to do here? What's going on?
Yeah.
Like, what is this about?
Yeah. The last time I had an encounter like that where it went kind of sideways and just got super weird, it was like years ago. But I was at a bar, and I'm sitting at the bar top by myself, right? And just, you know, when the TVs are on and you're like watching them, but you don't really give a shit. You're just drinking, right?
Yeah.
And
just trying to kill some pain.
Yeah. And this was before like transgender topics were in the discussion, right? So this trans woman comes and sit next to me. It's at a Twin Peaks, and it's important to the story. And
well, I bet it was at Twin Peaks. Call her a triple threat.
She is she's not a rough-looking trans person. She's a rough-looking person. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this person's just had a hard life of some kind. I don't know what kind of drugs they're on right now, but like, shit is weird. But I'm polite, you know? I'm not mean. They sit down next to me, and I'm just, hey, you know, how's it going?
Doesn't it, like, before you go on, I hate to interrupt, but doesn't it sometimes, situations like this, make you feel like, do I look like a mark or something?
Yeah. It makes me think, like, I feel like that person thought, like, either this person will listen to my bullshit or this person won't fuck with me. I don't know which one it is, right? But you're thinking, like, what's going on here? So, you know, they're sitting next to me, and I'm just, like, watching TV, and, like, the whole bar is looking at this person because it's at Twin Peaks. You're in Texas. You know, the trans discussion isn't really happening right now. People aren't really open to this idea.
Yeah. I said that in my set.
Exactly.
Back then, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'm not the villain. I'm just saying back then you had to be tough if you wanted to be trans,
so
dude.
This person's she's there for like probably like 2 hours, right? And she's been talking to me about, first it's like sports, bullshit, whatever, and then she's talking about how much she has to worry about being attacked, and she pulls out this like, you know, like the straight razors you shave with?
Yeah.
She like pulls that out to show like, yeah, and if anybody fucks with me, you know, I'll fucking get them. And you're just like, this is getting weird.
Yeah.
And then she tells me how she applied for a job here. And I knew the bartender. So when she went to the restroom, I was like, did she apply for a job? She's like, yep. I was like, so what do you do? You know? And she's like, gave her an interview. And I was like, really? She's like, yep. And we told her she can start on this day. And we're like, really? And she's like, yeah, you know, you can't, what are you going to do? Turn them down, get a lawsuit? Like, you got to kind of play this out. You know? I was like, okay. And then,
but if she's pulling out a razor knife, I'd be like, hey, by the way, we can't have you here if you're walking around waving a knife in this bar.
I think they were just trying to be like, you know, you'll know this won't be a good fit for you. Like, these customers probably aren't going to treat you well. And like, you know, this is, I don't know. The whole situation was weird, right? And then it ended with her going like, hey, I don't have a car. I don't have money. Can you give me a ride? Like, whatever. And I was like, I'm really sorry. Like, I didn't mind chatting with you, but I don't give anybody rides anywhere.
Dude, I've been there. People ask me for things.
She dumps out a bag of change on the bar to pay her bill and then bolts. And
I would not hire that bitch.
And I was like,
not because you're trans, because you're a shitty person.
Yeah.
You don't pay for drinks with change.
Yeah.
And you'll just pull out a knife at the place of business you're going to work. That's unprofessional.
This was just a really shitty person who just happened to be trans. But yeah, it was just,
it doesn't matter if you're trans. Sometimes you're just a shitty fucking person.
Just a shitty person. And but I just remember thinking like, what the fuck was this whole last 2 hours? Like all the shit I was listening to. And it's like, and these, sometimes people just talk to you, man. And it seems like I really do, like I'll find whoever's kind of having like a train wreck moment and they feel like, oh, I can open up to this person.
They make that eye contact and as soon as you do, you fucked up, right? Because they look at you, you're like, here it comes. People ask, it's like they know. It's like they can sometimes see your bleeding heart. I remember being drunk. This is a few months ago before the heart attack, but I was coming home from a friend's house. It was like 10 minutes for me. I stopped at the gas station that's on the way. I stopped to get like cigarettes, drink, something, whatever. And there's this girl and she's in a bad situation. Of course, I try not to make eye contact, but she catches me. She catches my line of sight. And then she comes up, starts dumping her problems on me. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, what is this really about? Like, my heart goes out for you.
Yeah.
But I'm drunk. I'm drunk. But like, what are you asking for here? What are you? Clearly you're not. We're not friends. We're not just having a conversation. And she asked me for a ride, and I'm like, all right, get in, whatever. And which this bitch could have murdered me or whatever. But also as a guy, I'm like, oh, well, she wants to fuck. But I give her a ride to a hotel, and it's not even the right hotel. I took this bitch to 5 hotels that night.
Oh.
I'm already hammered, and I'm like, what is this? What is going? Why? I got home and I was like, I am so sober now and stupid. I'm like, this bitch could have killed me.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
she could have been leading you to the guys that were going to rob and murder you.
And I thought that. And finally, I was like, what hotel are you going to? I still have her charger cable in my car. This is months ago because it was a nice cable. And she actually left her phone in my car after that. And I felt bad, but I was like, I'm not going to go back to the hotel and look for some probably hooker that's in there with her pimp, and then I get my ass kicked or killed or robbed or stabbed or whatever the fuck. And I mean, it wasn't like an iPhone or anything nice. It's a piece of shit phone, but
yeah, she'll be fine.
Yeah, but I've been saying that lately. I'm like, it's like some people can just see a bleeding heart when they're needing something.
Yeah, I've gotten better about like just giving that cold shoulder or just telling people like just looking at them, just be like no. And just like walking off.
Sometimes
but you feel fucking horrible. And like around Dallas, what's getting worse is, we're getting more and more homeless people. And it's like, you just have to do it. You just have to go, sorry, I can't. And it's like, it's almost like if you're even a shred more friendly than that, then they see it. And then the story comes out and they start.
Dude, you can't give them an inch, dude, because they'll take 6 miles, not one. They'll take 6. And I feel bad. Sometimes I will give a bum $1 or $5. I've given a bum a 20 before, and I felt like, I need some karma. Let me buy some back. But you can't. And the thing is, I love traveling to other cities and see what it's like. So when I was in D.C., they have a lot of homeless there too, but they're different. Because like out there, if they start and you're like, nope, they stop. They leave you alone. But down here, they're aggressive. I was even talking about them on the stage. I'm like, your bums here are so fucking nice. They're professional. They know when I ain't got nothing, I ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
And Texas are like, I tell them no. They're like, come here, fat boy. You can't run from me. They're like, come, they drag you back to your lair. Now you're homeless too. Now you're out there fighting for cans with this guy.
Yeah. There's a guy running the windshield game in our neighborhood. Have you seen that? Where they just clean the windshield without asking. And you're like, and that makes, and that's the thing is they want to make you feel like you have to give me something
obligated,
now. Yeah. And you're just like, no. Don't touch it. Don't.
Yeah.
And you're like,
and I try not to
do you
carry
just
too much
drive off
cash,
and be a dick,
but,
you know?
Yeah. I've told them I've rolled down the window because I mean I'm not rich by any means, but I finally have a car that I like. So I'll roll down, be like, no, don't touch my car. I'm like, here's $1, here's whatever change. Just I'm paying you to not talk to me or touch my car.
Yeah.
I know that sounds bad, but you're gross.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is.
And sometimes like I get, I mean, my heart goes out. There's so many homeless people everywhere and all this. I know wish there was something we could do, but sometimes the only way you can help people is by not helping them.
Yeah.
And I can't fix the world. I try to be nice. I try to do what I can. I've had to get better. And like you said, you feel like a dick when you're mean to these people. And I generally don't go out into the world to argue with people, but people will just come up to me or say shit, or people push me or ask me stupid questions. I almost got into a physical altercation with this hick-ass lady in PetSmart recently. Like, they only allow one person in there where they're cutting the dogs, And me and this other old lady are out
Cutting
waiting
the dogs.
to get
You mean like groomers?
Yeah,
like,
groomers.
Oh, okay,
Not
okay.
like cutting their throats. But
Okay,
like
I was
cutting
like,
their
what are
fur.
we?
Yeah, yeah.
What is PetSmart doing?
No. They're killing your dog. No, but so me and this, I'm waiting. I'm next. There's a guy in there, and there's an old lady behind me, and the old lady starts talking to me. The old ladies always start talking to me. I guess it's my beautiful eyes. They're hazel. And she's talking about the weather or whatever, and this hick ass lady just walks up in front of me and starts to go, and I was like, oh, hey, they only allow one person at a time. She goes, oh, I just gotta get my dog. I was like, well, so the fuck do we?
Yeah, everyone else is.
That's what we're here for. That's the line. And she goes, well, I'll be real quick. I'm like, yeah, you'll be quick after I'm quick and after she's quick. Get the fuck back. And lady starts arguing with me. I was like, I literally had to put my arm out. I'm like, look, you're not going before me. Okay, I'll go in there and I'll punt your dog. I was like, actually, I won't. I love dogs. I'll punt you though. You fucking bitch. Like, get out of here.
Yeah, but it's true though. Like I run into that constantly. In our neighborhood, there's the Starbucks that we like to go to, right? And we get weirdly spoiled people in that Starbucks. So same situation, right? Like we go in there like on I don't know, Friday morning or something. Everybody's going to work, and you got the app now. You order ahead, and like
Streamline technology, baby. Yeah. Hell yeah.
So like somebody called in for their shift or something. They're running behind, right?
That's always the excuse. Be sure.
Yeah, but so we're all just chilling there. Like most of the people there are kind of regulars, so you know the workers fairly well. Like and you're just waiting, and there's like, sorry, we're running behind. It's like no big deal. And this person comes up, walks in front of everyone. And it's like, hey, so-and-so, I got my kids in the car. We're trying to get to school and work. And it's like, that was the same thing. I looked over, and I'm like, looking at all these other people, and everybody's doing it. It's like, I looked at her, I was like, what do you think we're all doing? Everyone here is trying to get to work or something
that's
right
the
now.
line for people going to school and work.
Yeah, like
So,
it's Friday morning. Where the fuck we all
hit the
going right now?
drive-through, bitch.
Yeah.
Like, well, we don't care.
And it's
Nobody
like-
cares about your problems.
Yeah,
Okay? They're
it's-
your problems.
and it's like,
We're not all bleeding hearts for you. And the lady, even at first when she walked up, and we're both clearly waiting to go in. I'm right by the door. She goes, "Are y'all in line?" I'm like, "No, I like watching dogs get cut." I was like, "This is my hobby. I do
Yeah.
this. I have a podcast.
I'm just here every Thursday.
Yeah. That's my shift."
Yeah.
But people just they push you to that. Also, let me give you these gifts before I forget.
yeah.
Did you want to wait a minute?
I
or
would
do you-
love gifts
you want
right
some
now.
gifts? Okay.
Yeah.
They're not really gifts. They're my merch, so I'm just promoting myself.
Dude,
But
promote it, man. That's the whole reason we're bringing you on here is to promote your shit.
let's see what all I got for you here. That's a hat in case my hair gets messed up. That's not for you.
Okay.
Let me do this in order.
Okay.
Let's start slow. So first off, I've had to change my diet and what I can eat because I'm diabetic now.
Yeah.
So at night I can watch you eat all those things I can't have. There's a magnet for you.
Oh, there we
There's
go.
a podcast sticker. That's me and Jason. We had
Thanks.
a guy in England draw us up like Garbage Pail Kids.
And that's the Open Mic podcast. If y'all
That's
haven't
right.
checked that out,
MIKE.
check it out.
Yes, check that out. Here's I don't know if you use these, but just to have them as novelty, there's some Mikey B rolling papers.
Yeah, I definitely don't use these.
Okay, perfect. I do. People always ask me after the show too, like, "Oh, you got something to put in the paper?" Whatever, and I do. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I party with people after the show enough to where I know better. But I had one lady like seriously harass me. She's like, "Seriously, I want some weed. Dude. I'm buying your papers. You
There
got to
you go.
give me some weed." I'm like, "Well, I don't gotta do shit, lady."
I love the "Your Body, Your Choice" tagline on that.
That's what I believe. dude.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been saying that since before
It's
the Roe
dead
v.
on.
Wade thing went off. Is this before the shirt?
Mm-hmm.
Just ruined it. So this is the last one of these that I have in existence.
This is the last one?
There's the last one of these right here. So it's been in my house for a while. So I'm gonna wipe that off. So it's one of my bracelets and it's reversible. And I did these like right when things started open after COVID. So one side says vaxxed and waxed. So if you're vaxxed, you don't have to keep fucking saying it.
Yeah.
And if you're not vaxxed, let's be safe. At least get waxed.
Yeah.
The side that I wear and that most people liked, the other side, you flip it inside out, says I'm trash.
Oh my God. Thanks, dude. Last one.
It's the last one. Found one of those. You're
That's
lucky.
awesome.
And
I definitely love the I'm trash side more.
I don't know if I'll do more. That's what I wore.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll do more of these shirts, but I brought you one of my baseball Mikey B
Oh
shirts.
hell yeah! I love that type of that. What do they call that cut?
Raglan. It's a raglan.
Raglan.
Yeah, it looks like a baseball thing.
You're not going to make any more of these?
I don't know. I might. I
me
had them
see
for a
that.
long time.
That
I
looks
got a
sick.
new idea. That's not a pocket. So when you wear it, people will touch your nipples.
Oh,
You're welcome. But I know you told me your size. I won't dox you and say your size on there.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. You're a queen to me. But it's a size up. But I washed
Okay.
it in hot water and tried to dry it
Dude,
today to
thank
shrink
you so
it.
much,
And
dude.
yeah.
I hope you keep this design going. That looks badass. How
Yeah,
did you? Well, I guess it's easy to just print it like a pocket on there. But,
Yeah.
dude, that's so cool.
The new design I'm doing is I'm gonna have them made probably in the next week or so.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of opening gigs because I've gotten to some new clubs and to try me out. I'm going as an opener, And I don't like to sell merch as opener. A lot of clubs don't like you to do that as opener anyways. Plus, they don't remember you by the end of the show if you went first. And I don't want to stand there by my shirts all night. I'll just hand out cards or get drunk after or whatever. But so I'm ordering new shirts, and the new shirt, I can show you a picture later or send it to you, but it's basically two.
You sent me, it was a black shirt, right?
Yeah, it's a black shirt. It's two skeleton hands just right here like they're pinching your nipples. And no name or anything. There's going to be a QR code probably in the back just to my website.
Oh, that's dope.
That way.
You don't like selling merch when you're the opener?
No, I don't. I've done it enough times. A lot of times, you end up just standing by your merch and stuff, and they don't remember you. And it's understandable. They see you for 15 minutes, maybe, and then they see someone for about 30 minutes, and then someone for 45. So I mean, unless they just you murdered and they like you, you will. But also, a lot of clubs don't want you to sell merch as the opener. Especially if the headliner's selling merch, he doesn't want you fucking with his shit. Which I get it. I can see both sides of it.
Michael Pasvar, he was the one who explained that to me first. He's like, well, it depends if the headliner wants you to sell merch. And I was like, oh,
it's their show.
Yeah,
I think the host is a very crucial and important part of the show. It's a lot of responsibility, and I don't know. Some headliners don't want you to. I've had headliners tell me not to sell merch, and I've had headliners be like, "Go get your merch." Like, sell merch. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So it just depends, but it's not your show. I mean, it's your responsibility if you're the host, but it's not your show, and that's what they're there for. You got to earn that right, and I get it. And so, I mean, I do have some headlining gigs coming up where I will be selling merch. I've got plenty of papers. I just stocked up, just redesigned those, and I'm going to order the nipple shirts, whatever you want to call them. I'm gonna order those probably this week. Get those.
Where do you order custom papers from?
China.
China. All right.
No, it's actually, I think it's the same factory that packages raw papers, and they're basically raw papers. They're brown. They're hemp. They burn slow. They're good papers. I didn't go with the cheap rice papers. So it's basically raw papers, but in my packaging, same thing as theirs. And the thing, like with these smaller items like that, I usually just say donation, but sometimes I have to say like $5 minimum or something. Or I'll tell people to be reasonable. Because I had the last where you saw me last, I had some people try to give me like $1, and I'm like, bro, they cost me more than $1.
Yeah,
I'm not doing this for free. Like, come on, and they're like, $5 is kind of expensive. I was like, yeah, for papers, but you're buying support.
Yeah,
that's pretty cheap for support.
Yeah, it's hard though. Like, so I've been kind of like part of this podcast journey is just learning the economics of comedians. Making money, how they deal, because it's fascinating.
Making money.
Well, right, yeah. Well, or lack of, I guess. Because I've been learning how stagnant a lot of the club payments for comics have been. Like, pay rates haven't maybe changed since like the 90s.
Try the 70s.
Okay, I was trying to be friendly.
Some places are paying less than comics got in the 70s. I mean, that's half a century ago. And I mean, some aren't. Some of these places pay really shitty, and some of them pay good. But also, I think comedy is the one thing left where it's like either you make hardly any money or you're making a fuck ton of money.
Yeah, there's a massive gap.
It's like it pays off. It's like a gamble. Who knows who's going to make it, who's not. I don't know if I am. I have no idea. I hope I do. I hope I at the very least end up headlining like B and C rooms as long as I can pay my bills and I'm doing comedy. That still feels like a victory. I'm not in a job that I hate. I feel fortunate just knowing what I want to do with the rest of my life. I feel like some people don't ever get that, or they get it too late. I didn't start till I was 32, like 31, 32 years old. And that's kind of late for comics. And I wish I would have started earlier, but also I have so many experiences and stories that I forget a lot of the times, but I have more to talk about. So, I mean, I feel like it's a double-edged sword. It's good and bad.
I had this brand new comic on. I didn't realize it, but I went to one of those, the Addison Improv, the Anne Fringe show. No, it wasn't an Anne Fringe show. It was Dean Lewis Showcase for his class. But I didn't know that's what it was. I just saw this show, and we decided to go to it. And Lucy Perry Fools, I can't remember, but she was brand new. That was literally her first ever show, and blown away, man. She was super funny, and hers was the same thing though. I don't remember if she ever told me her age. I want to say she's into her 40s though, just because she talked about getting married later and having a kid later in life.
Yeah,
and but same thing, but she just has all this other stuff to draw on that a 20-something-year-old comic doesn't have.
Yeah.
And so and that's what we were talking about. Is I love going to a show where you've got a couple different age groups, couple different things happening, and it's not the same. Like, so I was masturbating my dick. It's like
I like that there's different. I mean, there's like very absurd comics. There's ones that tell stories, and there's ones that are like, we'll bring a guitar. I like that there's all these different styles.
Yeah.
I like the variety
Yeah.
that
Well,
is
like-
in there. And we're not competition. I feel like a lot of people get, you can't compare. One thing I've learned and still learning in comedy is you can't compare your timeline or your path to anybody else's. Some people will make it in 2 years, some people 20, some 30, some never, some you never know. Any stupid little thing can lead you down the road. You don't know. So, I
Yeah.
mean, just be funny. All I concern myself with, like, I try not to get into the scene politics or any of that stuff anymore, because all I really care about is being funny, getting funnier, and getting more work. The rest is someone else's problem. If it's not serving me the purpose of forward movement or getting better, then it's not going to help me. So why waste my time with it? And I mean,
Yeah.
of course, I've done plenty of that stuff, but you can't compare yourself to someone else. You can't get mad, oh, this person passed me up, but look at the people you've passed up. So, I mean, everybody's different.
What do you think you're going to have to do to get to where you want to be? Because you were talking about what you would like to do. Like, what do you think are the roadblocks? Like, I'm going to work on this or that, or, in your mind.
Probably sucking dick. Probably gonna have to suck some more dick. Honestly, it's I don't have a problem with that. I'll do it. But the thing is, I think the industry has changed. I think back in the day, I was having a discussion, and I've had this discussion with comics plenty of times, but back in the day, and when I started comedy, they really preached write clean, do clean material, get on TV. But I think for so long, that was the only path, is get on the Tonight Show, get a sitcom, get somewhere on TV where there wasn't like there is now, where there's Netflix, there's Amazon Prime, there's Hulu, there's YouTube. You can put it out yourself. There's social media. You don't have to be clean if you don't want to. And I'm not saying just right dirty. I think be able to do both. If you want to entertain people, be able to fucking entertain anybody. But I think there's a lot. The game has changed because, I mean, social media. I see social media stars getting into comedy. They're trying to turn it into a career. And I mean, if they can, great. And I mean, there's plenty that just aren't funny. They have the followers. They can fool a crowd once, and they're not going to be able to do it again. They can sell out a show one time, because a lot of these clubs, they'll book you if you can fill the room, if you can sell the seats. People will come out, and they'll like I said, they can sell tickets. They'll let you come use their club, rent it. They'll book you for a weekend because it's about money to them. And I get it. It's a business. I understand that. You can't be mad about that part, because people do this because they make money, and people have these establishments because they make money. That's the point. So you got to be able to play to that. But we have social media. So if you're funny, I think you got to build up your social media. I think you got to try to get some kind of credits, whether it's a dry bar special, get on TV somehow, get your followers up. If you've got 10 million followers and people will come out and see you and you're fucking funny, I think that's all you really need. I think you can go from there. Word of mouth travels, and your opportunities, if you can back it up, just get bigger and bigger. But you can't have one without the other. Of course, you can be funny and not have the followers.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're kind of spinning your wheels these days. And I'm still working on that now. My Instagram is maybe 2,000 followers. My podcast it's in the last 2 weeks is tripled what it was. So I'm happy about that. So happy to have all the new followers that are coming through. But me and my co-host have done it for so long. We're like, why is this no traction? We think this is good. But of course we do, because we're the ones doing it. But you just got to keep pushing and keep digging at it and keep digging, and one day you'll hit that gold, hopefully.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it's what I like doing anyways.
Yeah. Well, and it's a strange industry in the fact that you could not be famous, but you could have consistent headlining road work for the rest of your life if you want to, right?
Oh, I've worked with probably 30 different headliners that have been on Tonight Show, Conan, David Letterman. They've been on all of them, and they're killers, and they're fucking hilarious, and nobody knows who they are.
Yeah.
I know tons of those guys, and I mean, they still won. They're still making a living from doing comedy. They're not working as an accountant or whatever job they don't like. Not to knock accountants, but I'm just saying, it's still a victory because they're making a living from comedy and they're doing what they want to do. And I'm hoping for that fingers crossed that at the very least.
I think you won't have any problem doing that. How long? I mean, what I've seen, it's super funny. It's funnier than people that are doing it for a living that I've seen. Full time, like people who 100%. This is all I do. I travel all the time. I've been to so many shows where the person who's headlining, when they come out, you're like, okay, it's not horrible, but
yeah,
all right.
I've worked
You
with
know
a
what I
few.
mean?
Yeah, I've worked with plenty that they can do the time, and they're funny enough, and they don't walk the room. And I mean, if they're doing that consistently and living their life off it that way, good for them.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to knock them.
I think that's
on
why
air. I'll knock them after we stop recording.
I think that's why I love the DFW comedy scene, though. Is you know, I feel like there's a bunch of killers here that just don't know that they're that good yet.
I feel like they do in their mind, but I've been to so many different scenes. I do travel a lot, and this is all I do. I don't have a regular job. I'm full in on this. I'm editing for myself, other people, doing my podcast, doing stand up. I'm doing other random gigs. You heard that story I did about Tulsa. That was, I got paid $1,500 to go there for a week. I've been to Tulsa, but the end of that's just too funny to not do it that way. But that's all I do. And the thing is, I've been to all these different scenes. I see how a lot of different ones do it. There's a lot of great scenes out there. There's a lot of not good scenes. And I think people really sleep on the DFW, the Dallas scene, because I've seen at one open mic over 100 comics, and that's not even a third of what the comics we have here. Yeah. But I think Dallas, specifically Dallas, breeds killers because they, like, especially in Dallas, a lot of crowds will make you work for every little fucking chuckle you get. And then I go to somewhere that's more supportive of the arts, like say Denver or even Austin, which is even closer. And people are laughing. And like I'll go up after comics that are getting laughs, and nothing against the people, but they got like half-ass premises or stuff that's not flushed out, or they don't have the bit fully written, and people are dying laughing at it. And like, of course, I don't mind it, because I mean, I'm trying to do my A shit here. I'm trying to give you something that I'm really working on. But in Dallas, there's a lot of people that we really have to work for every laugh that we get. Yeah. And if you can kill in Dallas, I think you could almost kill anywhere. It's tough. People used to talk shit about Houston. I love Houston. Houston's a fun-ass town. But like Houston and Dallas, I think both of these scenes, we just breed killers.
Yeah, I've had a couple Houston comics on here, and then there's a couple more that I want to have on here, and it's like the really good ones are really good. Yeah, I mean, and they're nobodies. Their names aren't huge names. Yeah, and you're like, fuck, that dude is. And
sometimes you see these guys. Like I'll do. Last time I went to Houston, I did like 7 or 8 shows in like 3 days, and there's like so many people are so like they show a lot of love when you go to other scenes. Like if you can actually do your time and you don't walk the room, you're at least half decent. But like Houston always shows me a lot of love. So I did a bunch of shows, and I'm working with some of these people that are just like me, but they're so fucking funny. I'm like, oh fuck, I got to do my closer first now if I'm going on after you. Yeah, these people are fucking killers.
That's awesome, man. The how much time do you have right now that you think is like really good time, really good material?
The stuff that's like polished that I know I can do, and I know like just about works almost every single time, that I'm at least proud of to do on stage. I've done over an hour several times, but I'd say I have a really good 45-ish, 50 right in that area. And then there's another like probably 20 to 30 minutes of stuff that I'm like stories I haven't finished working on, or that just aren't there yet, or jokes that just aren't. They're good. They work sometimes, or I'll use them as filler. But I know that I can do a solid 45 of like stuff that I've tested. I've been all over the country with it. Yeah. I know it works. I know how to do it in different situations. So 45, I'm not scared of 45 by any means. And I've been doing 45. I've done 45 like over a year, 2 years ago before. So
how long do you think until you get ready to film something and put it out there on YouTube like you were talking about?
I don't know. I have stuff on YouTube, but most of it's private, and it's
I mean like a full set, you know?
Man, I would like to say soon, but I want to get more reps in. I want to get into some more clubs. I want to go to some more markets I haven't been to. Yeah.
And I'm not saying you should. I'm just, I love getting in y'all's mindset. But, no, shut up. You know what I mean?
But I want to go to some newer markets I haven't been to yet. Like I want to go up to the Northwest, and I've never been up there. I want to go to New York. I want to go to Boston. I've never been to L.A. I've been to all these different places. I mean, I've been to like Montana. I've been to Colorado. I've been to Chicago. I love Chicago. DC was dope. But I want to go to these different places and make sure, because I mean, that's the thing. When you go to a new market you've never been to, you're like, what if I'm just regionally funny? What if I'm not funny here? What if I suck here? What if I'm no good? And when you go there and you crush it, or you have a really good set, and like you feel like it's like a head rush, it's like adrenaline, and it's validating, and it's like, okay, I'm not wasting my time. I think you just got to take it serious. It's the weirdest thing with comedy. They tell you have fun, but you also got to take it serious. Yeah. But have fun. Just be yourself.
But don't fuck up.
Yeah, but don't fuck up. Because you could fuck up by sneezing in the middle of your set or something. I've done it. But
yeah, it's weird. I've talked about it multiple times. Like, I don't think I ever want to try it. I love just kind of watching it and then pulling back the curtain just a little tiny bit that I do on this show. Yeah. And then just learning a little bit of that science that goes into it. It's fascinating, you know. And now I've gotten to the point where I've seen so many people locally, multiple times, where you're like, oh, I didn't think they were very funny. You know, I saw them that one time. It kind of fucking sucked. And then you see them a couple other times, and you're like, oh no, that was just a bad night.
Yeah,
Like this
that happens,
person's
man.
really fucking funny.
It happens. I've had
And
nights.
yeah.
I've been booed off stage. I've
Yeah.
been threatened. I've had bikers come on stage and try to choke me, and I've had ladies throw shoes at shows I was running. I've had all kinds of shit.
It's weird. The only thing I have close to that is I'm a musician and I used to play in bands and stuff. So, I've been up on stage in that aspect, but you kind of know if you're in a shitty band or if you're in a good band. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you would hope.
It's
right?
pretty, but what I mean is
I see some people. I'm like, oh, he doesn't know they suck.
what I mean though is like the crowd reaction is fairly consistent. Like even if you have kind of a rough night as a band, it's going to be okay. Like it's going to be pretty okay.
That or you better start playing Black Crow songs.
Yeah. But like you guys, it really does come down to like, what the fuck is this crowd like? Am I feeling good today? Am I feeling bad today? Is my timing on? Is it off?
Read the room.
And it's
Read
like,
the room.
damn, man.
And like sometimes there's no winning. I always tell people like I did door-to-door sales for like over 10 years, and I would tell people it's not the bum territory, it's the bum in the territory. And I try to relate that to comedy. I always want to like even when the crowd sucks and everybody goes before he's bombing, no matter what they do, and you want to go up there and crack the code. And some nights you just can't. Some crowds just do suck. But I feel like it's your job to give it your all to try and not just go up there because everybody else bombed and just kind of berate the crowd or half-ass it. Because I've had shows where it's been like that, and I've gone up and done really well with a crowd that hated everybody else. And I've also had shows where everybody else did great, and I went up there and fucking bombed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes it's you, sometimes it's the crowd. It's just sometimes it's something in the air, and it's just going to suck. So it's just the way it is.
What were you selling door to door?
Artwork. Pictures, mirrors, wrought iron.
Like for your house or for companies?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, both. But it was like Van Gogh prints, Monets, and then like shit you'd see in Hobby Lobby, mirrors, wrought iron, shit like that. I pretend like I work for a decorator, but like, yeah, just stagger and put a couple sconces and all that. Yeah.
How the hell did you get in that line of work? That is so weird. Of all the things I would think you would sell door to door, I would not think artwork.
Dude, I did really good with it.
Really?
Like I sucked for the first 8 months, and then one day I got really high and went out to work, like while I was driving to go knock on doors, and I sold like 25 that day. And the most I had sold before that was like 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
And I was done in an hour and a half. After I smoked one joint, went to this neighbor, and I just bam, bam, bam. And I remember I was riding with this little goth kid, and we're in my car, and he pulls out a joint, and I was like, "Hey man, we're going to work," which is weird because usually I'm not the square one, But I was like, "Hey man, fucking people are going to
he's
sell
like,
in the
we
car."
sell fucking art door to door.
He goes, he had ridden with me like 3 times that week, and we were just fucking eating shit. I think the most we sold together was like 4 or 5, which is terrible. And he goes, "Hey man, you suck at this, and I don't give a shit." And he goes, "Let's just get high." And I was like, "All right, you're making some points there." I was like, "Light it up." So we smoke it, and like I said, in like an hour and a half, we only had like 30 pieces in the car. We sold like 25. There's like 5 pieces left.
Yeah.
And I had this cash, and I'm like, "Fuck, let's go to Hooters, bro." And he's
How,
like, "Yeah,
how
let's
big
go."
are these pieces of art?
I mean, 24 by 36. I mean, stuff like this size right here, a little bit bigger, some smaller, just everything in between.
And it's just kind of random
Shit you'd
art
see in
shit for your
Hobby
house.
Lobby or
Yeah,
Garden Ridge, if you remember those stores, or
Yeah.
just home decor shit.
So what was your opening line?
Oh,
you
dude.
knock on a door.
So
They open it up. What the fuck do you want?
For the most part, we would go to neighborhoods where they were building houses, like new construction, because one, I don't want to take credit for this, but the way I figured it in my mind, and when I would teach the class every morning to everybody else that worked there, I would say at these new houses, they're in the habit of buying shit for their house, right? They move into a new house, they want all new stuff. They don't want to they're getting new furniture. They don't want their old shitty couch from their apartment in their brand new house. They're getting new artwork to decorate with. So they're already in the mode for that. And so we'd go to these new neighborhoods where there's model homes, because people walk through the model home and then they pick the stuff they like and they have their house built. So I would knock on the door. I'd be like, "Hey, we're clearing out the extras from the model home. They're right over here." And I would just walk away. And so a lot of times I'd either carry a piece in my hand or I'd set one out of the car. Something like that. I'd be like, "Hey, I was just showing your neighbors," and I'd make up a name. Or if I did sell to somebody, I'd get their name and use it. I'd be like, "Yeah, just Sally and John just bought a couple. They said you might want some. We're clearing out the art we didn't use for the model home. I work for the decorator." I'd be like, "Come on, I'll show you." I just walk out. I just walk away. And a lot of times people just follow you, and I'm like, I could be a serial killer.
Yeah.
And these people are like,
We'll check it out. He's got some art out here.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, it's from the model home. Makes sense. It's a clearance," because I say we're clearing them out. That was the keyword, clearing them out.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, "Yeah, these ones that are 120 in the store, we're selling for $60, so you can get a set of them for $1." And they
Damn.
and
That is
same
such
shit.
I never would have thought of that. That's such a cold move because
Dude.
you're making them come to you like, well, how much are you selling them for?
Yeah,
You
and
know?
then you being different. I'm like, whatever. If you want them, cool. If you don't want them, don't get them. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And inside, I'm like, I'm not going to eat tonight if you don't buy these. But like, I'd tell them like, I'd put it in their hand. Possession's 9 tenths of the law. There's a lot of science behind it. I'd be like, here, take them in your house. Go see if they look good with your stuff. If they don't look good, bring them back out. Don't fucking buy them.
Yeah.
And people be like, all right. And I've had guns pulled on me. I've been arrested. I had a cop put a gun against my head once.
Over the art?
Yeah,
Dude, I didn't know the art life was this crazy.
Dude, art life. Bro. No, I was in a neighborhood and I was pulling out. I had this customer and I was helping her. Like she couldn't buy everything at once she wanted, but like every 2 weeks she would buy a couple pieces. And she told me like I kind of knew what she was looking for. And she's like, anytime you come by, just drive through the alley because I park in the back but not in the garage. See if you see my car. Knock on the door. If you don't see my car, come back later. I'm like, okay. So I drive through the alley. She's not home. And let's say this is the exit to the alley. Here's a street right here. I pull up here. Cop car goes in front of me. I wait for them. I turn behind them. I'm at the stop sign, and there's 2 cops in the car. And the one on the passenger side gets out, and that AC was broke in my car at the time. So I had the windows down. He gets out, pulls his gun out, and puts it against my head. And he's like, "What are you doing in this neighborhood?" And I was like, "Whoa, bro, I'm working right now." And he sees all the shit in the back. And he's like, "We've had a lot of robberies in this neighborhood." And he hadn't run my name yet. So I was like, "Bro, I'm white." I was like, "What do you?" I was like, "No, I don't know. It's whatever, dude. I'm not stealing anything." He's like, "What's all this?" And I explained myself, and he goes, "Oh, you fucking stole all that." I was like, "I stole all this whole car full of art, and I put the little cardboard corners on them that they have at the stores and made them look brand new in the middle of the day, and nobody fucking saw me. Is that what I did, sir?" And he goes, "Hold on," and he goes back to his car and he runs my shit. And I eat the roaches I have in my ashtray because I'm scared. And I have warrants, and I'm like, I've been arrested like 20 times before that. So I'm like, whatever. And he comes back and he gives my ID. He goes, "Get the fuck out of here." And I was like, "Well, I have customers here, so I'll be back." And he's like, "Don't come back here." I was like I said, I have customers here. I'm not actually doing anything wrong if they're inviting me here. And he goes, "The door to door is illegal here. There's no soliciting laws." I'm like, "Well, it's not really doesn't work like that. We've looked up the laws." But and he's like, "Just get the fuck out of here." I was like, "Have a good day."
That's wild.
I mean, I went to New Orleans with that job. We would do these road trips.
This was a traveling job?
Well, we would go like every few months. We'd go to another city because, I mean, you beat the territory up. So you give it a break for a week. You go to a new territory. It's just fun. Get out of town. You know, it's all younger kids. I was in my early 20s.
Where were you getting the paintings from?
It was a company. It was a scam. It was a company. Not really a scam, but it was there's a company out of Florida.
It sounds like it's kind of like a pyramid scheme, but more legit. Like it's they're not really like you're not having to buy this yourself, are you?
No. So the way I did it, there was a company in Florida, was the main headquarters in Orlando. And what they would do is they would front it to all these offices all over that branched out from the first office. And then they had like office in Cleveland, one in Tampa, one in Orlando, one in Houston, one in Dallas. They're all these major cities. And they would send us the stuff. And then as my boss would sell it, she would send the money back to them. And then she would take her cut when like everybody got a cut, you know? So it was a weird thing. There's a bunch of young kids. We go to New Orleans once.
What kind of car were you driving to New Orleans that you could load it up?
All kinds of different cars. I did that job for like 10 years. Sometimes I didn't have a car and we'd have these trainees, we'd call them, and they're there for their day of orientation, and they don't know when they get there. They're going to be driving this scumbag around in their car that I'm going to load up with art, and we're going to sell. And most of the people don't come back.
Yeah.
Like, luckily I'm charming, so I would actually build crews, because if I train someone and they stay, I get a cut whatever they sell, like $1 a picture, whatever the fuck it is. But a lot of times they go out with me for 2 hours and like, I don't want to do this. They take me back to the office and be like, get the fuck out of my car. So when I was in New Orleans, I had at that time an expedition. And we went
so you
for
can
like,
load that shit up then.
Yeah. We were there for like 9-10 days. First day I'm there, I get the cops calling me 5 times. Usually once,
Is it
twice.
just somebody in the neighborhood?
Let me explain.
Okay,
So
okay.
five times cops come, and they all come. They check my ID. I had 2 people pull guns on me. Cops 5 times. So that's 7 things. I'm like, fuck New Orleans. This sucks. And we were in Baton Rouge, outside of New Orleans, this day. And so the last cop, he's like, "You're from Texas?" I was like, "Yeah." He gives my ID. He goes, "Go back to Texas." I was like, "The fuck?" I was like, "What's going on?" He goes, "Just get the fuck out of here." And I call my boss. I'm like, "Hey, I haven't sold shit. It's like getting dark out." And she's like, "I don't care, bro. You got to stay out and sell something. Don't come back with nothing." And I'm like, fuck this. You know, the day he's beat me up mentally so bad. Me and the guy I'm working with, we go to a bar. I take like my last $20 in this bar, and I'm sitting there. And like you said, you send the bar top, TV's on. I order a beer, and I'm drinking it, and the news is on. It's like 7, 8 p.m., you know, it's just getting dark. And apparently, at the same time I'm in Baton Rouge area, there's a serial killer that looked exactly like me going door to door and strangling women and children to death.
Oh my God.
And the guy looked so much like me that I was like, wait a minute, is that me? Or is it, I like had to question it. I'm like, I take a lot of pills.
I've been doing drugs. Like
my boss didn't give a shit. She left us there in New Orleans and came back to Texas and told us to work and left someone else in charge. I stayed in the hotel like a serial killer in a La Quinta for like 9 days. I'm like, I'm going to get fucking murdered if I go knocking door to door. There's a guy strangling women to death. I don't want to get mistaken for him. So I'm like literally in a La Quinta, like looking out the window and shit, sending someone to get me
also makes
food.
you look like a strangler. Like
so having someone get my cigarettes for me, and I look like a murderer.
Dude, that is wild. And so what? You ended up going back out and trying to sell more stuff later?
I did a couple times, and I mean the best I did was like maybe 7 or 8 in a day.
And you just said, "Fuck it, I'm going home."
I tried to go further out from the city and tried to go the other side, and it sucked. Yeah,
Dude, stand-up comedy must seem easy after that. That sounds like a wild fucking job.
it doesn't make
Talk
it
about
seem
getting
easy.
used to rejection, though. Like
I say that I feel like it prepared me for this because. What are you going to tell? You're going to tell me I'm not funny? Fuck you. I lived in a car. Okay, you can't do shit to me. Okay, I've almost been killed and have died at this point now. So I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
The rejection. It did get me used to it because we'd say it's law of averages. We say I have 100 people, 90 will say no, 10 will say yes. That was a door to door thing, and like that rejection. I mean, think about that 90 times a day being rejected. No, fuck off, get out of here. I'm calling the cops. No, sometimes people waste your time too. They know they're not going to buy anything, and they'll look through your shit, talk to you for an hour, take shit in, bring it out, take everything in that you got, and bring it all back out. And be like, nah, my husband said no. Or they'll offer you something that's like less than you pay for them. And
right. Yeah, I had an experience like that. One of the bands I was in, we booked a tour, a summer tour, for like, I think it was 3 months. It would have been like June, July, August probably. And, we tried booking up shows on the weekends, and they were going real shitty. People weren't showing up. We weren't known. We were just hoping there'd be like bar crowds and stuff.
Yeah.
And there weren't. We weren't making any money. But we'd made the tour where you remember the Warped Tour that used to exist? People who don't know, it was a big festival tour where it'd be like 50,
awesome.
50, 60 bands.
Yeah.
And like in the beginning, you could go for like a $25, $30 ticket.
Yeah, it was like
incredible.
Family Values, but for alternative rock.
Right.
So it would be like STP, or it'd be like bands like that. I loved Warped Tour.
It was incredible.
It was the Vans Warped Tour.
The Vans Warped Tour. And so
Sum 41. Matchbox 20.
Yeah. And we would figure out where the Warped Tour was on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, where you couldn't book any good shows, period. And we would just try to sell stuff at the gate. Because there'd be literally, 20, 30,000 people going to this show. So you'd just be sitting there with like, at that time, it was like CD players, like, the portable CD players, headphones, and you would just be like, do you want to listen to our music? We're trying to sell this,
Yeah.
And so we were doing the same stuff, but like it was stuff we actually cared about. It was our music, But it was a numbers game. We realized like, okay, there's 20,000 people here. You can sell 200 CDs.
Yeah.
And at 200 CDs at, $5-10, you're looking anywhere from $1,000, $2,000 a day.
Yeah.
So that'll get you gas money, food. You can get to the next town and keep doing it. And we ended up just canceling all the shows and just following the entire Warped Tour doing that because it was so easy to sell, 100, 200 CDs a day, just like that. We'd hit the gate in the morning. We'd go take a lunch break, and then we'd hit everybody coming out after the show, trying to just
imagine selling weed on their way into the show.
We would have made a lot more money. But yeah, I mean, it was just like you'd be like, "Hey, I got it," and before you could get the words out of your mouth, they'd just be like, "Fuck off," It got to where it just like rolled right off your fucking back, and it's like I don't like Donald Trump. I don't care for him at all, but I did understand how he could be insulted, and then it would just like. He didn't didn't give a shit, which is a talent in its own. You can say it's a good or bad one. I don't know.
It's hard to offend me. People say fucked up shit to me all the time. And like after everything I've been through, I'm like, I'll laugh at it. I'm like, whatever, dude. It doesn't bother me.
It's like,
what are you going to do?
Well, and it gets to a point too, like that Warped Tour stuff. It's like you'd be in different cities and you'd hear the same bullshit, insults, jokes,
the same
whatever.
rebuttals,
Yeah, and you're just like, oh, I hadn't heard that
and
one.
And then, like, that's the thing with door to door. You'd hear the same excuses, so then you start developing rebuttals for them. And I even would make a list to print out for the new people. I'm like, if they say this, use these. If they say this, use these. So I'm sitting there, I'm going back and forth with people. Yeah. And after a while, you get to learn, like, you can tell who you're going to get and who you're not. Sometimes people, I can tell they're wasting my time. I'm like, hey, nah, get out of here. And so another trick I would do is, sometimes the good thing is like if you have one set of people out, instead of standing there and trying to bug them, go get another set of customers, because then it could turn into a buying frenzy, or at least you got more options. And if they see their neighbors out there looking, they're more comfortable to come out, and it's more of a normal thing. But sometimes you get the people who are just negative, like that's too much, or are asking shitty questions. I would literally turn my back to them and I'd butt bump them. I would just bump them out of the circle. I'd be like, get out of here. I'm like, oh, my bad, sorry. I'd fart on them. I do all kinds of shit like that.
Can I tell you something? Like, this sounds like such a shitty job, but it sounds like you really enjoyed it.
I hated it, dude.
But like you're telling me how like you got into it.
Yeah.
But no, you were hustling trying to move this shit.
You had to, dude. I within like a week or two, I moved into what they called a crew apartment. Mm-hmm. So they would rent an apartment for all. It was a bunch of us vagabonds that we would hire and go through, and I'd watch crews turn over and over of people getting hired and fired and quitting, mostly quitting. And so for like, they take like $6 or $7, $8 a day out of your pay, and you can live in this apartment they already rented.
Wow.
And you get either you're on a couch or you get a bedroom. It just depends. But also, if I don't sell anything, I'm not going to have food tonight. I'm not going to eat. I didn't make. I would average, once I got good at, around $100, $200 a day. I mean, some days you'd make more. I made a few grand in a day, and then there's days where you don't make shit once you pay for gas and everything else. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you got to hustle.
Was that the shittiest job you had?
That was one of them. It was.
What do you think's
rough.
the worst one you ever had?
Man, I've had over 40 fucking jobs.
Yeah, but what's the one that sticks out where you're like, fuck that fucking thing, man?
Working for my dad doing cabinets. That fucking sucked. I have asthma, and I'm walking around piles of sawdust. They're being shot at me. I was a tree trimmer. That one fucking sucked. I was a tree trimmer where they start you off, they put you with the illegals, basically the workers that don't speak English, And our job, I'd put on this harness, and I have to throw a rope on this tree and tie it up, and I have to climb up this tree and cut it while I'm standing up there in the air and the Texas heat. And then if you do that long enough, or you get good enough at that, they'll move you to a truck. And I started being like someone's assistant, basically their bitch on a truck that has like a big hydraulic lift on the top, like a bucket, like an electrician that works on power lines. And that's what we would do. We'd go between sometimes we'd have to take the bucket between the power lines and make sure there's a 7-foot distance and a V away from the power lines. And that job sucked. That was one of the times I got electrocuted.
What kind of training do you get to strap a harness on, climb up a tree, and cut it down?
Watch Luis. That's it.
Isn't that fucking nuts?
Yeah.
You have a chainsaw.
You start off slow. You start off fucking carrying the shit that they cut and throw down to the shredder, because we were in a big truck. They had like they pull a shredder behind it and it'd shoot the stuff in there, and guys would ride back there. But yeah, you start off with that, and then you're the guy climbing. Then you're in a truck, and then like the truck, depending on who you're riding with, could be really cool or it could suck. Because sometimes the guy makes you do everything, he treats you like shit. Or sometimes the guy's cool and he's like, let's smoke a joint and take an hour lunch or whatever. And I was working with the.
It's impressive. I've watched a couple of crews like cut down a whole tree before for whatever reason, and it's wild when you see somebody who's good at it.
There was one guy that. He wanted to be one of the ones that climbed the tree, and he would literally cut the branch he was standing on way up in the air and see if he can catch his rope before he falls.
Oh, fuck that.
And he didn't always catch his rope.
Jesus.
But he always got back up. So I saw him fall like probably 20 feet once out of a tree. It just his name was Luis. The guy had said this thing. He would cut the branch he's standing on, and then he'd catch his rope, but he missed it that day, or it slipped out of his hand.
Yeah.
He didn't get a good grip.
Would he just throw the chainsaw away, or was it like, please don't land on the chainsaw? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think he thought about that part.
The fall doesn't scare me. It's falling on the fucking sharp, spinny thing.
Yeah, both scare me. But also, a lot of times they wouldn't be just a chainsaw. They'd have these other cutting tools, or sometimes a handsaw. But most of the time it was a chainsaw. But luckily, he like pushed the chainsaw when he started falling, so he didn't land on it.
And then you on the ground just have to worry about a chainsaw falling on you.
Yeah, basically. Just watch for it's raining chainsaws today. A rainsaw.
You said you've had over 40 jobs?
Dude, I've had so many fucking jobs.
Do you normally quit? Do you normally get fired? Mix
both.
of everything?
Both.
Yeah.
I've known. I worked for a company my sister got me a job at. She worked there, and I worked in the warehouse. And it was like an audio visual company. So I mean, we'd rent equipment and we'd do shows and stuff. And my job basically moving shit all around. But when I was getting fired from that job, I knew I was getting fired. So I walked in and they're like, have a seat. I was like, getting fired? They're like, yeah. I was like, I walked in and right back out. I was like, getting fired? They're like, yeah. I was like, have a good day. And I just kept walking. I was like, he's like, well, you should sit so we could talk. I was like, nah. I was like,
I'm
what
getting
for?
fired.
I was like, what for? Fuck you. How about that? We're fired. So whatever. I'm fired. I don't give a fuck.
Oh man, what was okay out of those 40 jobs? You can't say comedy. What was the favorite job? What did you really, really like? That if you weren't doing comedy, you're like, I could see doing that shit.
Well, I mean, I would never do this again just because the industry beat me down. But I used to work for a moving company, but doing the sales, the booking and appointments and all that.
Okay.
What ruined me was doing the dispatch and running like basically everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's brutal, but the sales was working from home. It was way before pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Working from home in the summer, I'd make like $2-3 grand a week sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I'd blow it all because I'm a fucking idiot. In the winter, you don't really make a lot of money. But man, I love doing it for a while. Go out and doing estimates, doing sales, just on the phone. It was great. I'd try. Even when I started comedy, I was still doing it. So I would travel and I would work during the day on my laptop, and then I'd go out at night and do sets. And I was making good money. I was doing pretty good.
All of the jobs you've told me are so different.
Yeah.
How do you decide when you're gonna like? Do you just flip through?
Who's going to pay me?
Yeah, but I mean,
I
guess it's crazy to me because I've always been one of those people where it's like I'm not going to leave a job till I have another one.
Yeah.
It terrifies me to not be that way, and I'm always blown away when I meet someone like you who it's like you can always get a job.
I got that face.
That's a talent, you know what I mean?
Well, also you have to remember you could just lie to people. I've gotten so many jobs I was not qualified for.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing that meme go around recently. It's like when you lied to get the job or whatever, because I've done that.
Yeah.
And like I got a job at Chili's, I remember years ago, and I had never bartended before, and I told them I was a bartender at a place called the Pink Taco, which didn't exist. They're like, we can't find it. I'm like, yeah, shut down. That's why I'm looking for a fucking job. They're not there anymore. And they hired me, and then they're like, all right, make this and that. And I'm like, oh, all we served was beers and Jack and Coke. We didn't do anything. We didn't make margaritas or anything.
God,
I just
yeah.
lied about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another great trait as a comic, though, like thinking on your feet in the lie,
Things are moving, baby.
Which Chili's did you work at?
Louisville.
Louisville? I worked at
Dude.
the Plano one off
Did you?
of like Spring Creek and 75 area.
Dude,
Yeah.
I used to, when I sold
Gave that
art,
sizzle service.
I would go there when I sold artwork
Yeah.
to that one and the one up on Parker.
Uh-huh.
And like sometimes a lot of the servers would be cool. I'd go there with a little weed and I'd set up art and they'd let me sell to their bar customers.
No
And I would
shit.
sell like small Salvador dollies, which are always cool little pictures. And sometimes the servers would buy those. But yeah, that's just what I did.
Yeah. It's I loved waiting tables when I did it, man.
Oh, waiting tables. That was a good one too. Like besides
Yeah.
dealing with the bosses,
Yeah.
waiting tables, because if you can be personable and you can make people laugh or relate to people, you can. I would work entire sections by myself at Chili's. Sometimes they'd call me in or people wouldn't show up. I'd work a whole section, and like even though people would be mad the shit's coming late, as long as I can entertain them and just let them know like, hey, I'm sorry it's late. I'm not gonna charge you for the soda. Here's something free. Whatever the
Yeah.
fuck. Most of the time they're cool about it. Funny thing. I got fired from that Chili's and I didn't need that job anymore. I was doing the moving thing.
Yeah.
And so I just kept it because if you remember when you worked at Chili's, they'd give you the discount card so you get
Yeah.
half off. But it wasn't just Chili's. It used to be On the Border,
All the,
Maggiano's, all the Brinker.
Brinker,
Yeah.
that's what it was, yeah.
So I got fired from that job, right, and asked not to come back on the premises. But I do these focus groups. Have you ever heard of a focus group?
Yeah.
Market research. I do these ones where they send you to the Chili's headquarters here in Dallas and they have you taste test food. So I'm fired from Chili's, but I'm in their corporate headquarters and they're paying me $100 to try some shitty enchiladas or fajitas or whatever the fuck they're testing out that week.
Yeah, yeah.
Here you go, Mr. Benavides. I'm like, thank you. I'm banned from your establishments, but
That's
thank
hilarious. Oh, Brinker, man, it's bringing back all the good memories. Yeah, I did love waiting tables. Chili's was fine. And Brinker, like, there's nothing really horrible about it, but
you. No, not really.
I do remember it's like you'd have the managers that took their shit too seriously. You have the cool ones, right?
Yeah.
And but like I had this one. You know how they probably still do it, but they raise money for the St. Jude Hospital.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing, right? Everything
Yeah.
about the St. Jude stuff was awesome. But when I was bartending there, it's like you have regulars. So it's like when that St. Jude stuff first kicks off, your regulars were like, I'll take a shirt, I'll take this bullshit, whatever you're doing. And they do their purchases, their donations, like kind of that first, 3 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, it's like, hey, man, they're tapped out. And we had this one manager who's like, it's like a sales job. He's like, stick to the script. He's like, hit them up. He's like, you got to sell this many. And so it's like he was giving me shit at the end of one of my shifts because he's like, you didn't sell enough donations. And it's like, say that sentence again. Like, I didn't sell enough donations.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, they're all tapped out. It's like, Jim over there has already done this. So that person's wearing the shirt they bought last time they were here.
It's going to cost me money if I keep talking about it.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what it was. And they were like, they had like necklaces one year. And it's like, there's these dudes at my bar top that they're trying to tell me to like go push these St. Jude necklaces for these grown men. It's like, dude.
And they're here just trying to finger somebody.
Yeah, it's like, dude,
I don't care
they're
about
watching a football game, drinking some beers. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
You know? And then, you know, of course, you'd have the other managers who were like, sell any of the St. Jude stuff? You're like, nah. It's like, you get them next time. Like, you know, and it's like, but
they're reasonable people.
Yeah, that was the only part I hated about waiting tables is it all came down to that manager. If that manager was cool.
If you had a cool manager, shift was going to be fine.
Yeah.
So they sent me to the punishment chili once, but I wasn't on punishment. They were lending me out. I remember it was Christmas time.
Which one's the punishment one?
It was the one in Grapevine Mills Mall, the Chili's Express or
like a Chili's. I remember they were starting those.
But they had seats, it just wasn't very big.
Yeah, it's like the kind of stuff they put like in airports, right?
Yeah,
it's hard to make money there.
This was well, I mean, you could make money if you're a good server, and I would do good there. But they sent me around Christmas time, and I found out after getting there that a lot of the employees were punished. They got fired for stealing or banished to the Chili's, like it's the wall in Game of Thrones. They're banished to the mall Chili's. And so I would go there. And I remember this one time, it was right before Christmas. They sent me there. They needed help. I go on a lunch shift. I made like $200. I had a really good day. And the GM got me to go on my day off. And I was like, I really don't want to. And he's like, all right, just go do the shift. He's like, I'll tell the manager you're not rolling any silverware or doing any side work or anything. You're literally just waiting tables, taking your money, and go. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Fuck it. I can use the money.
Yeah.
So I go, and shift goes fine. Manager's kind of a bitch, but I'm like, whatever. I'm just doing the job. And at the end, I go to turn it. You know, you either owe them money or they owe you money. I owed her money, but before I can give it to her, she goes, I don't see your silverware. I was like, well, I'm not going to roll any. I was like, Stoney said he would call you. And she was like, I need you to roll 200. I was like, 200?
200.
I was like, fuck you. I'm not roll. I was like, I wouldn't roll 200 at my store. I was like, have us roll like 50 or 30 or whatever, depending on what we use. I was like, I would never roll you 200 silverware. So in fact, I won't roll you one. She goes, well, I'm not going to give you your money. I was like, actually, I owe you money. So here's your money. I'm going to go. Have a nice day. And she goes, you're not going anywhere. I was like, what are you going to do, restrain me? She goes, I'm going to call your manager. I was like, here, call him. I dialed his number, put my phone on speaker. And she starts as soon as he answers, she starts kind of being a bitch to him. And she's like, and he won't roll any silverware. And he goes, well, yeah, he doesn't have to. Because he was the GM over at that store and the one I worked at. And I just remember her being so mad. And she was like, well, you're not welcome back here. I was like, bitch, I didn't want to come here. Y'all asked me to
They
come
sent
here.
me to the wall. I
came,
didn't want to.
Yeah, I was like, I came to help, you know?
Yeah.
And then they sent me back the next day, and she was there. And she goes, I don't want to hear shit from you. And I was like, that's like mutual.
Yeah.
Same.
Oh my God, dude! I forgot about all that side work, man. I used to
clean the fucking chips, the chip machine,
chip machine,
machine.
What were they called? The little wooden things that the queso goes on, trivets. Is that what they were called?
I can't remember.
But anyway, you know, like if you get the chili queso or the fajitas, it's like a little wooden thing.
Wait, y'all had to clean those? We didn't clean those.
we had a certain manager who was like, you know, he's like, you got to clean these. And so I was like, all right. So I'd load them up on the dishwasher thing and just run them through the thing. He's like, no. That messes up the wood. And I was like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
He wanted you to hand wash them. And I was like, no. I was like,
you want me to restain them too? How about I refinish them?
Yeah.
How about
that?
I'm
surprised we didn't have a little sanding station in the back, really smooth it up.
The finish isn't great on this one. Can you regloss it?
Yeah. And oh my God, it was such so what I did love though is I would pick up everyone else's side work for, $5-10 or whatever. Yeah. And so by the end of the night, you made another $100 just for all the people. I'd always try to get that last cut shift. That way I could do the extra side work because I got pretty good at waiting tables. So it's you could run 4 or 5 tables at a time at the end of the night when people are kind of slowing down, chilling while they're eating, and then you just start cleaning up all the other sections, making that extra money, and it was fun, man.
Just be efficient. Just do
But the only problem is the moment you get off your shift, you blow all that money on booze or something at the bar.
It's time to go get drunk now. Now I'm going to order a $30 steak.
Yeah. And then because you're in the service industry, you're I'm tipping 60% everywhere I go.
Yeah. I still overtip unless you give me shitty service or you're an asshole. I tip. I overtip.
I know. My wife and I were both service industry, and it's like even if you get shitty service, it's like you'll put down 20%. You're like, I'm just not coming back. But I mean, it's hard. Like especially if I've been drinking, it's like the tips get bigger.
Yeah.
And then you look at your account the next day, and you're like, why did I do that fucking shit? But then you remember, you're like, I know that this is going to make up for those couple of assholes who tipped like shit.
Yeah.
This will be the balance.
Also, this is how I get into heaven.
Yeah, right.
I fucked up a bunch of my life.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm buying some good karma.
It feels good though. Like, isn't it weird? Like, even when you don't have a lot of money, like you'll still tip someone because it's like it's like you've been there. That's going to make that person feel good, and then that makes you feel really good.
Yeah.
And
it feels good to give.
It does, man.
It really does.
And it feels even better when you don't have money. You ever been in that situation?
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's almost like when you get more money, sometimes you get less generous. It's like, I don't know.
Protect the pile.
I guess. Or like, maybe I feel like, I'm broke. If I give somebody $5, that's karma. It'll come around,
If I give her
know.
$5, I'll get 10 back. Just watch.
And that's how the prosperity gospel started.
Yeah, it's like betting on the horses.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true. Man. Yeah. Do you feel like, I don't know how to ask that, but do you ever see yourself getting another job like that again, or do you see yourself being like, I'm all in on comedy the rest of my life?
I'll get another job like that if I have to. Other than that, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. I don't want to do anything else. I want to do comedy. I want to do stand up. I love doing it, especially when it's going well. I hate it when it's going bad. Not really. I mean, even then, it's still.
This is now the career you've had the longest, right? You've never had any other job as long as you've had this, have you?
When I was younger, I sold weed for like 10 years.
Well, you've never had like a W-2 job as long as this, right?
I mean, I've had jobs for a long time, but I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think this is the longest one now. But I want to do stand-up, and I want to play a villain in movies and TV. That's
really?
My thing. Yeah, that's what
I didn't know
do.
you were so big into acting.
I like the bad guy. I don't want to be the hero. I don't want to be the star. You have more fun, I feel like, playing the villain. That's what I do. I practice evil laughs. Mm-hmm. And if I have to get a job, I will. I think.
What are you doing to get the acting thing going?
Not much right now.
Have you talked to, do you know Michael Pasvar very well?
Yeah, I know him pretty well.
He does like commercial acting and stuff, but he would probably be somebody you could talk to about, like maybe getting it. How do you get like an agent and those types of things?
I need to. I feel like people complain like, I'm not giving an agent 10%, but I'm like,
fuck it, man.
I think even 20%, if I can get someone who's giving me more consistent work, that's money I wouldn't have had in the first place, and it's a step further.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've been trying to research like how, especially being in the Dallas area, how I could get an actual agent or some kind of representation to try to move that along and bring in more work.
Yeah, because
it's not so much. I don't think it's so much a market like if I was in L.A. or New York.
Well, and you've got a distinct enough look. You've got a distinct enough like life experience on your personal life experience that's got to translate into interesting characters on a screen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's what I think.
I mean, it's got to, right?
That's what I'm hoping. I mean, I just that's what I want to do. But comedy overall, that's what I want to do forever. I love it. It's what I want to do until I die. Again.
I want to end it on that, man, because that's pretty wild that you did die and now you're here with us. And I'm so happy. I remember I don't know you, like when you're making those posts about I had a heart attack and all this. And I remember being like, whoa, God, I hope this guy's okay, Yeah,
get your stuff checked, man.
Yeah.
Do small things to be a little healthier. I mean, I don't know your lifestyle clearly by any means, but I mean, I'm eating better. I still eat like shit, like one meal here and there, but I can't live like the way I used to. And I mean, I do feel better. I was already off coke, and I'd already made my mind I wasn't going to do it anymore. I just wasn't enjoying it anymore, and I saw it as something that was just holding me back. So I was already off of that. It's just the fact is I've done so much when I was younger that it carries
catching
over.
up now.
On top of being genetically disposed to heart disease, diabetic, runs in my... I found out, so my mom's white, my dad's Mexican. On the white side of my family, they got heart disease, diabetes, all these different things. Mexican side, nothing. They're just dicks. That's it. They got no diseases. But I'm getting old, and I don't want to look old, and I don't want to feel old, but the fact of the matter is I'm getting there. I'm almost 40. I'll be 40 at the end of this year. And I just got to make changes if I want to be here. If I don't want to be here, then sure, I can live like shit, but what's the point of that? That's no fun. Just feeling, because even if I decide, man, fuck all that, I'm going to keep doing drugs, I'm going to keep eating the way I want, then you're just mad at yourself. I feel like you project on everyone else. I feel like I'd just be arguing with myself, and I wouldn't be able to enjoy it anyways. But I do feel good when I do a workout and I eat right or something, and I just go home after that, or I do a comedy show and I do really well, and I don't get super hammered afterwards and make an ass of myself. It feels good sometimes to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And also, it feels good to do the bad thing sometimes too, though.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm glad you came out on the other end of this, but
Thanks,
I'm also happy. Like, you know, I was nervous. I sent you that message. I was like, "Are you comfortable talking about this stuff?" Because you never know how that hits somebody.
Yeah.
But watching you do your material on stage about that whole experience, and I know you're still kind of crafting it exactly how you want it because it's also new. But
a lot of it, the
it's
stuff
great,
that I
man.
did do last week, is a lot of the stuff that it's getting tighter and tighter.
Yeah.
And that's why I ended with the lady that was my come out surgery that's giving me shit.
Yeah.
I think that bit hits hard, and then the cardiac rehab stuff I just added, which led into that gummy worm story as I'm already talking about. And it's getting like to where instead of trying to remember a whole set of jokes, I can remember I want to do this topic, and this topic, and that's already more than the 15 or 20 or whatever minutes they give you. And I love doing this personal shit, and I think that's my job is there's not going to be an original premise anymore, right? I mean, comedy's stand-up's been going on for so long. Surely somewhere somebody has thought of this premise, that premise. Every now and again, you might think of one or get lucky. Then you find out someone on the other side of the country's got that premise or whatever. So I think just giving them a piece of me, just giving them my personal. That's what my life. That's what my pain is for. If I can't laugh at it, then it's like all I do is let it hurt me. And I'll be damned if my past determines my future. So, I mean, just take the little pieces of me I can, whether it's painful or not. I mean, I'd rather go up on stage and give them some of my deep, dark secrets than have a one-on-one conversation with somebody, you know? Which I know is backwards and weird, but it's just how I live my life. I can't help it, but I love doing it. I love making people laugh. If I can take my pain and turn it, or something stupid that's happened to me, and turn it into something that other people enjoy, and they forget about their problems and stop thinking about politics or trans rights or whatever the fuck. Because I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't care what people want to do. Whatever you want to do, I don't give a shit. Just don't bother me with it. Just shut the fuck up about it. How about that?
There you go, man.
That's my whole thing with like all that stuff is like people, my friends will send me stuff or say something. I'm like, what do you fucking care? It doesn't affect your life. All I want them to do is just shut the fuck. Sure, be whatever you want. Be a man, be a girl, be a puppy, be a chicken nugget. Just shut up about it. Just go do it. I don't have time for your shit.
Be a chicken nugget.
Yeah, go for it, bro. I'll call you Nugs.
Oh, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on here. Thanks for all the merch.
Yeah,
I mean, dude, this is awesome. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to wear the shirt.
Last thing I want to say is what I learned this from other friends, and I've learned and forgot this lesson so many times. Turn your goddams into God's plan. You know, and whether you believe in God or not, what that means is like take your fuck ups and turn it into good things. I went on the Kill Tony podcast. I bombed hard, so bad, in front of Joe Rogan and Tony Hitchcock and all those people. Which whatever, I made fun of it. I admitted it. I went online. I was like, hey, just bombed on Kill Tony, and I made my own video about it. It is what it is. I learned from that experience. I feel like I got better at comedy after that.
Yeah,
and I think just turn your fuck ups and turn them around. That's all you got to do.
There you go. Where do you want people to find you at? What's your preferred place?
All right, so I do this a lot. So,
Yeah.
So check out my podcast, the Open Mic Podcast, MIKE, all platforms. Search that on Instagram, Facebook, also Twitter, Open Mic 5000. Don't go to my Twitter. We don't fucking use it. Twitter sucks. Fuck you, Twitter. But also you can find me at Mikey B the Comic on Instagram. It's probably the best spot. I don't really use the Facebook so much. I post more on my Instagram. Go there, see my dates. I'm at Wichita Looney Bin this weekend, Tulsa next weekend. Then that Sunday the 28th, I'm at Amplified Live here in Dallas. I got a bunch of stuff. Check my Instagram to see where I'm going to be at. Come out. If you want to come to the show, hit me up. I'll try to get you tickets. And that's where you can come find me.
Yeah.
TikTok and Instagram at Mikey B the Comic.
There you go. And don't tell him any random weird stories that he doesn't want to hear.
Yeah, it better be fucking good, okay? And don't say use that in your skits, because we don't like that.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, dude.
There it is, another episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you to Mikey B for coming on the show. And thank you to the Buttshakers for letting me share their music. We're going to listen to one more on the way out. This is Keep On Pushing.